Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2 p.m. The meeting will come to order. We have all of our trustees, with the exception of trustee Otteson, contacted me yesterday. She will not be here today, and our treasurer will not be here today. We have our assistant director, our director, our business manager. Council is expected to join us somewhere in this session here. And we have our communications specialist. We also have a guest for the audit, Tony Hackwith, so she'll be speaking to us later on. So I'll open up right now with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Oh, we got supposed to be over there. Well, right now, ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our flag's on the wrong side, sorry. Let's see what we got here. Okay, first item of business, regular business here is public comment. Speakers will state their name and community and will speak for no more than 3 minutes. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe a level of civility and decorum appropriate for a public meeting. No personal attacks or disruptions from the audience members will be tolerated. The first person we have, and the only person we have signed up today, is Jeff Lewis.
Jeff Lewis, Post Falls. Whenever I walk into a library, first thing I notice is the display in the lobby or the entryway. And I just wanted to thank the library here and the personnel who took the time to put them together. The last few displays have been fantastic. Just brings me back to my childhood. Brings me back to the things I used to read, all the classics. And I just wrote down a few of them that I saw. Bobbsey Twins, Treasure Island, Tom Sawyer, Wizard of Oz, Raggedy Ann, Moby Dick, National Velvet, Robinson Crusoe. Just very, very incredible display of the classics and just the history of literature. There's probably 40 of them I could have wrote down that I didn't, but just thank you to the library. Thank you to the board, what you guys are doing. And I know I and my family and others appreciate displays like this in our library. So whoever is responsible, I hope you will say thank you from me and others in the public for these displays that are going in the lobbies. That's all I got to say. Thank you again.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who did not sign up that wishes to speak? Okay, we gained a little time for our meeting. Pass this on down to, I guess, communication. I have 2 or 3 things to bring up very quickly here. Time management. I just try to make all the trustees and the board cognizant of time as they go through this agenda. I think it's pretty filled up and we have a tendency to go long, so it's possible to be slightly concise. I have plenty of things to say as well, but we'll do our best to keep ourselves without staying late. Also, I took a jump out of Robert's rule in case some people were questioning and wondering whether or not a request for a motion to be put in writing. It is in Robert's rules. It's Robert's Rules 48-18 or semicolon 18. If a motion is considered and is offered in wording that is not clear or requires smoothing before it can be recorded in the minutes, it is the duty of the chair to see that the motion is, let me see, your motion is put into suitable form, preserving the content to the satisfaction of the mover before the question is stated. The chair must never admit a motion that the secretary would have to paraphrase for the record. The chair, either on his own initiative or at the secretary's request, can require any main motion, amendment, or instruction to a committee to be in writing before he states the question. We've had a few times in the past where it came up, and I could be one of them, I don't know, when things get complicated and then the chair asks for somebody to put it in writing. So that is a legitimate request out of Robert's rules. I found that in the book, something like bedtime reading. One second. Okay. Trustee Fox, go ahead.
I should have said it at the beginning, but I was wanting to make a agenda addition. I know we started the meeting, but I think we should be doing the approval of the revised budget before the year starts. We have a different amount of money we approved coming in, but it's not in the budget. And I think that should be done before October 1st.
Really? I didn't know that question was gonna pop up, but I did do some homework about adding things in agenda. An agenda may be amended after the start of a meeting upon a motion that states the reason for the amendment and states a good faith reason the agenda item was not included in the original agenda posting. Final action may not be taken on the agenda item added after the start of the meeting unless the emergency is declared. The emergency is declared necessitating action at that meeting. The declaration and the justification have to be required to be reflected in the minutes. So even if we did discuss it, we can't make a final action on it. So unfortunately, I don't see us being able to add that to the minutes. Trustee Foss, yes?
I did request it before. I don't know what the rules are. I consider it an emergency if we start the year with the balance or if the budget not balanced. What we voted on is not balanced.
Okay, well, a quick my own understanding, I'll get a long conversation on it, but we did approve a 3% increase as far as what we published. And then we agreed to a 2% increase in taxes, plus we took the levy, the judgment levy for the utilities, and that was at 0.5% as well, so we're 2.5%. So we did our job as far as publishing is concerned. We have the ability to amend and make adjustments to the budget anytime during the year, so I don't think it's an issue at the moment. I think it's totally resolvable. Okay, next item on here I've got is the agendas, the minutes. There was a discussion at the past meeting and also in the past, way before that, back in March of 2024, regarding what the contents of minutes should, the minutes of a meeting should contain. There is guidance on it, and at the last meeting I did express that I would look it up and provide it to the director. So in case anyone wishes to look it up, Idaho statute 74-205. That's called written minutes of meetings. So that's guidance, Idaho 74-205. Robert's Rules, chapter 48, pages 446 through 451. Also discuss how you record minutes. And the Idaho Commission for Libraries Trustee Manual on page 81 and 82 also cover that. So they were provided, and I did notice that the minutes we have in the last meeting are considerably more concise than in the past. So not a new issue, but it was brought up in the past a year or two ago, whatever I said it was back in March of 24. And so in any case, we're on now to our consent agenda, agenda item number 5. The first one is the minutes from the budget hearing from August 14th, 2025. So we can find those in your notes. Does anyone have any issues or questions or amendments to make to the minutes? Okay, I'll consider 5A completed. 5B is the minutes from the regular meeting of August 21st, 2025. All right, hearing no concerns or changes, we're now on 5C, the CIN financial statements for the period. I'll take both of those, C and D, the period ending July of 2025 and August 2025. That's the blue sheets. I didn't hear anybody. I'll bring one of my, not, concern, curiosity, how it's gonna work. So when we pass the October 1st date, we are no longer working with the CIN anymore. Will we be keeping the books open for a period of time in case there are any stray invoices out there or stray dues still coming in? I'm just curious how that wind down is supposed to work. Because I assume anything you do in life, usually the invoice isn't there the same day you do something, so yes, Director.
Well, I know it's a little bit late in the game, but it is awkward for me to speak. I'm just one member of CIN. We happen to have the CIN fiscal agent in the room, but she's not here in that capacity, so it's hard for me to answer it, like, officially, because I'm not anything more than one member of the whole group. But it is my understanding that yes, in order to do the audit the following year, everything will be available and open, everything will tie off at the end. Any liquid assets are going to be dispersed equitably to all members, and it should and quite regularly.
So are we still gonna have money in the bank if there are still bills outstanding, or do we know there are accounts payable still hanging in there? That was one of my questions.
No, I think it's anticipated that by the next statement, the one that ends the year, September, the liquid assets will have taken care of all of the outstanding payments, and then what's remaining will be dispersed.
And is it being dispersed in fashion similar to what the contributions are? Is it proportionate?
I think if I remember correctly, the last CIN meeting with the president, the board chair there, said it would be equitable as opposed to proportional. Proportional was how we divided the overdrive collection, but the assets were going to be equitable.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Boss?
So I had a couple questions on them both for the expenses. First question is EBSCO Open Athens Novelist, about a third of the way down. It's budgeted for 9,700 for the year. And both months show zero's been paid. Is that something CIN's obligated to that they're gonna have to pay before it ends, or what happens there? Then we've got about a third of the way from the bottom of the list of expenses, Twillo. I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's caught up now. Don't know if there's anything more, but I've got the next three line items basically is I just wonder if there's anything more. We've got accounting services. I would think there would be a closeout. It looks like, did they pre-pay it, or does that cover it for the rest of the year, 2,100? Legal and professional, is there anything more we know going on there? Those are my questions.
It's more likely I'd be able to answer those at the very end, in September. I mean, I can't say, there is actually a bit of a narrative for the EBSCO Opens Athens Novelist. So there have been payments to that. Twilio is a software platform that's used for sending messages based on library, like the accounts, or overdues, renewal, that kind of thing. I don't think there's anything anticipated with accounting services, and there's nothing outstanding as far as I've heard from CIN in regards to legal. So the only thing I'm really not sure is why Open Athens Novelist is sitting at zero. I'm just reading over the narrative. There's no transaction this month, but it does say that CIN paid an annual fee of $3,379 for Novelist and $6,324 for Open Athens, which expires 8/31/25. And then the narrative there goes on about the fiscal agent asking for an invoice for the 1 month extension. Anyway, I don't want to take an unnecessary advantage of the fiscal agent being here, so I will find out that for you next time and be able to close out CIM in September or.
Is it possible on the EBSCO that was anticipated that we pay it in August or something for next year, and what we're running on is last year's August pay?
Yeah, it's quite likely, because I think I think there's, in the narrative, it talks about asking for an extension just to finish out from 8/31 to 9/30. And then most of the individual groups are like, CLN is gonna continue, individually with EBSCO and all of us, so. I think the narrative is the most I have for the fiscal agenda about it.
Okay, in line with what trustee Plow said, and what the reason I asked the question, I want to make sure that we don't divvy up whatever's in the bank at the end and then be saddled with a couple of bills that were overlooked or were still in process someplace, so that's just want to express that concern. Okay. Anyone else have anything else regarding the CIN financial statements? Yeah, trustee Plow.
So in our minutes from August 21st, we approved consent agenda with the exception of CIN financial statements, June 2025. How do we handle that?
It's a good question. I'm aware of that, but I don't even know why we approved the CIN's minutes, so I don't know if it's material or not, but we didn't approve it. I do remember that. Any thoughts on it? You okay with just letting it hang? Or not into the now and even more so after October 1st?
I would like to leave it hang until we get this closed out and find out. I think all this is a consent agenda, so we just put it in our records that we accepted it. I'd like to, I move that we don't accept these two for August and July, then we wait until it ends in October or something, and then we see where everything is. I just rather not approve any of them.
Well, I have it correct. We're approving the financial statements, not the dissolution process of the CIN.
I move that we do not approve the CIN consent agenda, that if we don't, or the other consent agenda is okay, but we exclude the CIN financials, and we handle all three at the same time at the end.
Trustee Robinson.
I guess I have two questions, or maybe a point and a question. I think we're just accepting them into our files by approving them today. And then I think with the last comment that the trustee made, that if we have them in our files, we can go back and look at them for clarity. I don't know if accepting them makes it so that we can't go back and look at them. So maybe I'm not understanding what the trustee wants, but I think it's fine if we accept them into, I'm not saying files, but that's not the right, what do we, into our files? Yeah, I'm fine with accepting them as is, because we're not necessarily approving them. That's not our job to do.
Understood. I don't know if trustee, anyone else has, do you have another comment, trustee Foss?
I know the consent agenda is just to bring them into our records. My motion is to just wait with accepting this like we.
Okay, well, the motion itself is out of order at the moment, just because we're not finished with the consent agenda. So if you don't wish to approve those, you can make a motion when we finish. Well, I'm sorry, we are finished that item, so if you want to move that we.
I do.
Okay, so you're moving that we do what? Go ahead. I don't want to make your motion for you.
I move that we do not accept the CIN financial statements for August and July.
Would you need it reworded to say we want to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5C and D? I'll call that a friendly amendment. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's fine. I would move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5C and D.
Okay, so that item is now up for discussion again. I tend to disagree. I don't see it does anything greater or less in our powers to approve or not approve, and so I think I vote when it comes to voting time, I'm gonna say, well, I'm gonna vote to say we have just approved it. It doesn't have any financial legal authority as far as access to the money or not. Any other trustees have this, want us open for discussion? Trustee Plus.
I'm saying we just postpone approving it until it closes out and then everything is good. We've got another one that is on hold also. Just put them all on hold until CVAN closes out.
Trustee Robinson.
I call the question.
Okay, the question has been called, which means that we are now going to vote on whether we end discussion and we vote on the main motion. So the question is right now, do we wish to have further discussion or not have further discussion? So we're now voting
To call the
to
question.
call the question, basically call the previous question. So all those who wish eventually, then this is what we're asking, that want to be able to end discussion and then come around to voting. We're not actually voting on the main motion this time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The discussion is ended. We return to the main motion. I don't know if we can have, we can't have further discussion, so we'll go back to the main motion. The main motion, if I got trustee Plaza's motion correct, we're now voting on approving the consent agenda, item number 5, A, B, and C, A and B. I'm sorry, to approve agenda number 5 with the exception of letter C and D. So all those in favor of approving that with those two exceptions, say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay. Nay.
Okay. The motion is lost. Trustee Robinson.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
It has been moved that we approve the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, we're now voting on the main motion again, a new main motion. We're voting to approve the consent agenda number 5, A through D. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Okay, and for the record, it's, the ayes have it. And trustee Plus was an nay for that. Thank you. Okay, we now move on to the green sheets. Agenda item number 6, Community Library Network, August 2025 financial statements. I would like to, if we can, unless there's something intertwined, go through the income statement first before we jump over to the balance sheet. I think it'd help us stay on track, unless something is intertwined and you need to address both
Before we jump to what?
before we go to the balance sheet. So we're looking just the income of the green sheet, income statement, not the balance sheet. So we can just sequentially continue moving along here.
So like revenue, is that what you mean?
Yeah, but everything except for the balance sheet, just looking at the income statement, which is this and this, but not the balance. Yes. with that. Trustee Robinson.
Well, it's kind of neither, but I did want to say how much I enjoy reading the what are these ones called?
What descriptions?
Yeah, the descriptions. They're laid out very nicely. Yeah, a lot of information but not too much. So thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I did have a notation for myself, though. There are a few things I think they're superfluous or a little extra work on for the business manager. Some of the things are a little repetitive. What I mean is I'll jump down to the very first one, page 1, and we go to say to 410. It says we received 71,000 and change in August, bringing the year to date to such and such. significantly below. That speaks for itself when I actually look at the income statement itself. So I don't know if that's necessary to go through, because then you're gonna have to keep these reconciling between what's detailed in the descriptions and then what's on the actual income statement. Or another one I can look at is, and it's a good example, actually, I think to me, 415, income cooperative electrical. There's good descriptions in there, and I needed that because that was one of my questions back a few months ago. When we get to the lower portion, the last paragraph of 415, then again, we go back to the information which is really already captured on the income statement. So, and the reason I bring it up is because if you go down one more to 430, I think it's an error. It says no income this month. And yet when you go back to the actual income statement, we have $558.14, if I'm reading that correctly. So I'm just saying, you're keeping yourself having to juggle numbers here and align them. If it's necessary to describe it, in my opinion, fine, we need that. If you're making yourself work twice, may just be unnecessary. Other commentaries regarding the income statement, Trustee Plus.
One is a question on collections, line 610. We've got 1 month to go. Are we going to be spending our budget on books and materials, or are we, I don't know, what's the plan there? Are we holding back because we maybe don't know which books we want to do yet? And then the next question is on internet access, 630. It looks like we got a refund. We okay, we got a credit or something, so maybe that could be explained.
So regarding collections, there was a little bit of, maybe a different pace this year with the changeover from the manager and then hiring a new manager. So it probably wasn't at the same pace as previous years. Certainly as this was the same year, we're working on the policies about how we acquire material and collection. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why it's a little bit low at this point. The intention is to spend out as much as we can, obviously, but that goes beyond this year. So we certainly don't want to lose any funding. We don't want to rush anything through. There's also the split from like the 305 refers to both in this current statement, it refers to both electronic and physical, and so forth. We're splitting out in the next fiscal year. So anyway, long story short, I would say we will spend as much as we can on it, and we're getting a lot, and I'll mention this later. We're dealing with a lot of ILL requests, which will turn into purchases, so I'll speak to that a bit, but I think we'll have a better number as far as projected year end in September.
Internet.
Oh, sorry, internet. Yeah, I think the narrative speaks to that. Some of our internet is less than the budget number because of the E-rate agreement. I think it speaks to that in that regard.
I think we took the assumption that we were gonna get the E-rate reduction when we did the budget. I'm not sure. I thought we did because it's never been turned down. But, you know.
Yeah, I think we budgeted as if we won't. I think some part of the issue is that it kind of, I think it cuts off like not at the end of the fiscal year, but I think it's midsummer when that renewal comes in. So we don't always know when we're projecting at that point in time. So.
I have another comment. Let's see here. GL 635, which was telecom. We only spent almost 22% of our budget, even though we should be up to about 91% by now. Do we have a large bill being processed really? I look at that one only because it's a fairly large line item. It was almost $85,000 and we're only spending 22%. Do we know what's going on with that one there?
Again, I would just say, look at the narrative.
I think I did.
So CLN pays 30%, 70% funded by E-rates. And then I think even the ICFL comes in on a bit of that. So yeah, it's the same as the response.
Well, and then when I was working with the business manager regarding the L2 form, I got onto this sheet for some reason here. I'm not sure there was an idea, and maybe it's a good idea to see what other people think about it, and also whether the director likes it. When we look at revenue, item GL 400, 401, and 403. There, we look at the actuals, the column there. Those two actuals, so if you just take 400 by itself, and you look at the percentage we've received so far, that number is not 100%. Even though in reality, we've gotten over 100% of this year's money. Is it recommended, is it a good idea to take the actuals for 400, 401, and 403 and use that total to come up with the percentage of the budget of 400? Because if you look at 401 and 403, we don't budget for anything, and we've gotten 0% so far this year, but in reality, we've gotten whatever, $400,000 or more from those two lines. Is it wise to wrap those three sources of revenue over to the right-hand column and show that we actually got in? Because I guess when we're doing our budget, we budget for X amount. We don't know how much is gonna come in from property tax relief or homeowner tax relief. So I'm just curious, because those all wrap up together to come up with the total, is that worth modifying or not? And is that clear what I'm speaking about? Yeah. Trustee Ponce.
I'd say absolutely, they all three to go together. And I don't think this year we're getting 401 and 403. I think that was a one-time thing last year. So that's probably why it's zero now, but earlier in the year it was that. I may be wrong, but they're all property tax. It's just that the state was paying for part of it.
So I don't know, if the director wants to at least think about that between now and the next meeting. Is that,
Yeah,
is it wise? Is it keeping with, generally accepted accounting principles and whatever other things we look at?
yeah, I'll meet with the finance office and discuss that.
Okay, other people have issues, questions, discussion on the financial statement? I'll give one minor compliment. We're spending less money on utilities, it looks like, than we budgeted for. Almost every one of those came in under budget, maybe they all did, so. Yeah. Anyway,
On the balance sheet, can we go on?
well, let me see, any other discussion or questions regarding the income statement? I think I do. Nobody else? Okay, we can move on to the balance sheet, please. And let me pause that for a second. And if we can, on the balance sheet, because I know it's an issue. GL 148, which is a property tax receivable. Is it, if it's advisable, do we want the auditor to explain that to us? I don't know. I know it's a mysterious number that almost $300,000, and maybe one of your concerns. It's one of mine. And I don't understand it fully. I think I understand it, but I don't know that I do. So go ahead.
Well, I want to bring it up now while I have a chance, because then the auditor can adjust or address it. I've asked multiple times this year, and I've called the county and to the assessor office. They say they paid everything they have for property tax to CLN. And it appears that this is a number that's coming out of the audited report. So in the September 23 report, that exact number is on the balance sheet, but it's not explained. And then in a previous year, the number that was there on the previous ones are there. I made up a summary sheet and I would like to just hand it out. It appears that it is the auditors looking at all the cumulative money plus and minus each year that the county is paid or not paid, and they're saying they still owe it to us. And I have a very big issue with that, because property tax receivable is like on a business, what do they call it? Accounts receivable, which means you've delivered the service. You've sent them the invoice, you sent the customer the invoice, they paid their credit card, the credit card hadn't paid it, whatever. The money is coming, but this is money that's never gonna come, because the county, if I'm understanding it right, but maybe when the auditor talks, you can explain. I'm not gonna hand this out just to show what I found. and I can wait with discussion.
Okay, and I'll tell you my little bit of what I thought I understood. When I was signing off on the O2 form, the business manager and I were on the phone with the treasurer's office. And I believe, if I understood it correctly, that each year, if we budget around a certain amount of money and and it works around with the assessor and the treasurer's office in the county. Not everybody pays their taxes. They eventually do, because at some point, they don't pay their taxes, I think, if I got it correct. After 3 years, their house might be auctioned off. It may not be auctioned off on year 3 if it doesn't sell well. It could take year 4 or whatever it is. And so I'm not sure, I'm gonna guess, that maybe this is a cumulative amount of what we didn't get for the last, I'm gonna take a guess, 3 to 5 years. But I would assume though that every time we get to aging off year 5, we dump that and that number gets adjusted, but it may be a cumulative amount for multiple years of tax revenue that never got collected by the county. We still show it on the books because we were expecting it. And I guess, I don't know how we write it off as an uncollectible account receivable, but maybe after it's by the county, after a certain number of years, maybe they drop it. But that's my guess and understanding, and I'll let the auditor explain it when she's up, if that comes up. Go ahead.
Just one thing, every one of the line items on our budget, particularly on the income, is an estimate. And we may not get the donations that we think we're gonna get, we may not get the ag income tax or the ag sales income tax. But the balance sheet is a picture of where we are that exact month, that's why it has a date on it. And accounts payable for property tax payable should only be, in my opinion, just like a business, should only be what the auditor's office from the county says they were sending us. So if they've sent the check but it hasn't arrived, or if they know what it is, but they haven't sent the check, we're entitled to ask for it and get it. But that's what accounting is all about. At the end of the year, you look at your bank accounts, everything has to balance. If you don't have as much as you thought you were going to have, that doesn't mean you're entitled to it. It just means you plan the next year based on your starting point. So I think it's highly, in my mind, suspect that it's being handled this way, but I don't think if we're going to count for it somehow, it shouldn't be called property tax receivable.
Okay, if it's acceptable, we can ask for clarification during the audit report. Okay, and I just want to make sure I understood one of the things correctly on here. I'm looking at GL number 110, the ICS balance. If I understand it correctly, just in numbers, that figure there, I'm assuming is we have to have enough funds for September, we're in there now, through and including January 2026. And if we ran with a burn rate of about $470,000 a month, on those 5 months, that comes out to $2.3 million. And if that's the case, and we subtract it all out, I would think we still have a balance of about 3.4 months left over. Meaning that's, if I've got my, idea that, so, okay, if that's correct, just, it helps me, I'm learning. I'm not an accountant. I never liked accounting, sorry. All right, are there any other questions on the the CLN's financial statements? Okay, hearing none. Is everyone acceptable, okay with accepting it? We don't need a vote necessarily, yes. Any other questions to make? Okay, the financial statements for the CLN for the period ending August 2025 are approved. Keep going next. Okay, next up is the auditor's report, and we have with us today Tony A. Hackworth, I'm sorry, pardon me, and she's owner and manager of Alpine Summit. So we're getting an audit report for, I'm not sure what year, 2024?
September 30th. September 30th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Tony.
So I believe that all of you have the audited financial statements.
You wanna put your microphone on?
Pardon?
Just push the green button down, lock it in.
Or maybe I just get closer.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah,
It's pushed, but
okay.
I'll try to talk loud. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over, the reports that we issued and then some of the financial statements. And when we get to, the pages that, reflect property tax receivables, I'll expand on that and try to answer the questions, and if not today, at a later time. So we issued 2 reports as a result of our audit procedures. So we audit your financial statements and issue reports on those. One of them is an independent auditor's report, where we indicate whether or not we feel, based on our procedures, that your financial statements are materially correct. And the report that we have issued is called an unmodified opinion, which sounds negative, but it actually means that there were no modifications that we felt needed to be made. They also refer to it as a clean opinion. So that is page 1 through 3. That's the independent auditor's report. Also, since you are a governmental entity, we have to issue what's called reports on internal control and compliance with laws and regulations. And that report is on page 43 and 44. And that report is also an unmodified report, meaning that during our audit procedures, looking at your internal controls over financial reporting, we feel that you have good internal controls over financial reporting. We didn't have any deficiencies, significant deficiencies as such that we felt needed to be reported. So those are the audit reports. Now I'll go through the financial statements. Not going to go through every page, but highlight the items that I feel that you would be most interested in hearing more about. Pages 4 through 11. That's called the management's discussion and analysis, and that is actually a narrative that the library's management writes, basically an overview and analysis of the financial activities during the audited period. So I'm not going to go through that. It's basically kind of like a book report over what happened during that year. What I'm going to do is more focus on the financial statements themselves. So if you turn to page 12, this is what's called the statement of net position, a balance sheet in the for-profit world. Those are your assets, your liabilities, and the net effect of that is what's called net position. It would be equity in a for-profit financial statement. This statement is on what's called the full accrual basis. So it shows all of your assets, including your long-term assets, your capital assets, and then all of your liabilities, accounts payable and such, your short-term liabilities, as well as your long-term liabilities, your bond, and then some lease liabilities. As far as, I guess I'll talk about property taxes right here, since we're on the balance sheet, the initial balance sheet. So property taxes, you budget based on a cash basis. So when you put together your budget, you're budgeting this, these are the revenues that we anticipate coming in the door into our bank account. And these are the expenses that we anticipate paying out. It's called a modified cash basis, and that I'll go over that financial statement. But as far as property taxes are concerned, the county is the one that provides auditors the ending balance at your fiscal year end. They don't provide that month to month. I would assume that they could provide that to you month to month. I don't, my feeling is adjusting that month to month won't really give you much more information for your operations. Again, because you budget on your cash basis, you're looking at what cash we brought in. So they provide us with the number, the ending number, and that's what we assist you in making that adjustment to for your property taxes. I don't know if that answers your question.
So I talked to Alicia last year. She's not there in the auditor's department anymore. I've talked to Catherine, who seems to have taken her place, and I've talked to an assistant, Roxanne. they don't know where this number has come from. And
Provide it to us. I can provide you that copy.
I'd like to see that because Catherine says, I paid everything to them that is due to them or that we've collected. And I don't know why anybody's keeping track of whether it has to be exact with what we budgeted. Because there's way too many unknowns when we budget it. I don't know why they would even be trying to keep track of what we budgeted. I don't know that they even gave us that number. We're the one that calculated it out with the percent increase. But what's the number based on? Is it supposed to be the amount over the last 50 years that they owe us or what?
Well, what is supposed to happen is the L2 is your budget. This is the anticipated amount that we should receive. That is not what actually goes out to taxpayers in their assessments, because there are a lot of different things that go into account there. The county keeps track of each year's amount that is assessed to property tax owners. And then they allocate it to the different governmental entities. And then they come up with or provide a year ending balance for each year. There are a lot of property taxes that are in arrears, like you were discussing. Those get paid when a home gets sold. There's liens put on them and they get paid. So there are collections that come in years later. But the county is supposed to be tracking 2021 taxes, what they've collected, what they've remitted to you, and what they still owe to remit to the tax districts. They account for that. They give you revenue each month, and they provide to the auditors what they say is the ending balance. What was assessed plus what they provided to you in an ending balance. There is always an adjustment that has to be made to your books to balance to what they are telling you they owe you. And that's something that is a much, much more lengthy conversation. I'd be happy to have it with you, but myself and other entities in the community, City Coeur Lane Library, actually, years ago, went to the county and had this discussion, and there was quite no resolution. Prior, years and years ago, when I started, years ago, the county provided us with what was actually assessed and the payments that were made. So the balance that they provided of the receivable matched what they said. But our understanding, based on our conversations, is that they're taking the L2, the anticipated amount, less what they provided you, and then saying that's what they owe you. But that's a budget.
So who are we talking about? Multiple departments and they aren't talking to each other? Is one thing the treasurer?
I cannot speak.
Where did you get your number in this report?
Well, the receivable balance came from the assessor's office,
The assessor,
I believe, yeah.
assessor or
Assessor's office.
treasurer?
I don't believe it's the treasurer, it's the treasurer's office that we previously would get the actual receivable balance from, the actual assessment and the ending receivable, so.
The auditor's office is the one that makes the payments and figures it out. And that's why I was talking to them. So
Yeah.
we need to have longer.
Honestly, yeah, honestly, off the top of my head, I don't recall which department it is that we get the information from. We talk with treasurer's department, auditor's department, assessor's department.
I don't know why Catherine would tell me they don't owe us anything. They paid us everything.
Well, the only way that they would not owe you is if they collected every single dime from the property tax owners and provided it to you, which they haven't. I mean, they even, the receivable, statement they provide shows multiple years of balances owed.
I had a similar, so that means it's a significant amount of money, it's almost $300,000 according to our balance sheet we have right now. I don't have a good feeling I understand, and I know I'm blaming you for it. Are we, is this a cumulative amount from the last 50 years of what was not paid to the library? Well, I'll say we weren't around 50 years, but we're getting close to it, but, is this an ever-growing number?
Down last,
Oh, take it down, okay.
so we got extra.
I don't understand this, I mean, it's a lot of money that I don't understand what it is.
The majority of that 300,000 relates to that fiscal year.
This fiscal year?
The fiscal year 2024. So the amount that was assessed, they received payments in July and January. Taxpayers made their payments in December and June, so they remit to you the largest portions in July and January. So basically, you know, they assess the taxes, they collect in December. You're supposed to pay in December, they collect most of it in January. I'm sorry,
December.
taxpayers paid in December, they remit to you in July, or January and July. So it is for the majority of that, and I can give you the amount. I don't have it, audit work papers and all of that, but I can provide to you the sheet that the county provides. But those are collections, that they're still collecting for the current year. I'd say 270,000 of that 300 are probably for the current fiscal year.
So I went through all the sheets I could find readily. I don't have a good file system and I seem to have misplaced some or something, but this is what my spreadsheet was. Each of the months, how much on the left, how much total revenue we've got up to then, and then what the budget said for that year. And I put the difference in the next column. And when I get to September 30th of 23, which is the only one I can compare a number to, we had been paid more, 151,000 more. Now that's total revenue. So I could see where 486 would decrease, but that isn't enough to get it down to below 300,000. And then I went over to the far right and just for that year, looked at just independent tax. And I looked at that and it's only $83,000 difference. So I could see we got paid more that year because of the URD. I could see that the number would drop, but it appears to be a cumulative thing that I don't know where it drops off. And then the other thing is I highly object to calling a property tax receivable. It's maybe something else. If anything, it's a liability. We're about to write it off. It even talks about it in this article, a business, if there's unpaid accounts, they sell it to a creditor for, fourth price and let the creditor go try to, we have to write it off at some point, and I don't know how we're writing it off. And it just.
The county takes care of all the collections and disbursements.
I know.
So the property tax receivable is a property tax receivable balance that the county has not yet collected. And once they collect it, they will remit to you your portion.
Trustee Robinson?
I was gonna say something like, it wouldn't be a write-off because like the auditor said, if money is owed for a particular house, maybe 3 or 5 years worth of taxes owed, and that house sells, then we get our money. So the money isn't gone, it's just sitting somewhere, not in our pocket. It's somewhere else, sitting there. But eventually, it's always going to make it to the proper entity that it's owed to. Either the person pays all their back taxes, or the house is sold and it's taken out of that money. And that's what you're saying, right? Right. So that's why it wouldn't be some sort of write-off. And I don't know, if I don't do, public entities do write-offs like that? I don't know.
The county, most likely writes off. I mean, the balance that's here on your balance sheet would consist of your 2023 assessments. There's a balance, residual balance from 2022 for owners that haven't paid. And, like I said, those have liens against them generally. So when the home sells, eventually you're going to get that money. So if somebody hadn't paid their taxes for 5 years, when the home sells, you're gonna get all 5 years provided to your portion. So I don't know if that answers your
Trustee
question.
Clark?
But,
Yes, absolutely.
if that was the case, then we would be getting the previous year's 300,000 this year, or, and we don't ever seem to do that.
You do.
I don't see where we get extra amount. We barely get what we budgeted for. And in the 1 year we had the URD and we got extra amount then. But I don't see where extra amount is coming in for previous years.
You would have to, the property tax or the county actually provides a remittance with the check that they provide to you, which has a detail of what tax years you are being given money for. So Michelle would be able to provide you with every single month that has a breakdown. And that comes from the county. So Michelle wouldn't be able to tell you if that number is correct or not. You're relying on the county to be your agent to do that for you.
See, but it's on the balance sheet as receivables, like it's equivalent, it's under current assets, like it's money in the bank. It's equivalent to money in the bank, and it isn't. It should be off someplace else, not in current assets, is what I say.
It is a receivable of money that you do receive.
Trustee Robinson?
Well, I was just gonna point out that, every year, money comes in from the past. Not all of it, some comes in from the past. But in that new fresh year, more money's, not lost, but held back because the new tax year, some people didn't pay their tax. So that number's gonna fluctuate. You wouldn't see just all of a sudden, it looked like everything was paid off, because the new year, there's gonna be new properties that didn't pay their taxes. So it's never gonna be this big windfall and like, oh, it's a zero sum now, or we got everything. It's slowly trickling in from the past, but every year there's new ones that are not being paid.
Okay, I'd like to make a suggestion on this maybe is, and I'm not putting on you, if we can find out which county office owns the answer to this, invite them in here as a guest and explain it to the board. Because I would like to see, again, if these are taxes that are owed, I'd like to see, well, how much is still up in 2019, 20, 21, and how long do they stay out there? When do they get dropped off the top? At some point, they're either, what do you call it, uncollectible, or there's still 3 houses to be sold out there. I don't know why they take that long. I think I heard on the phone that they wait 3 years before they actually put a lien on a house, and then who knows how long it takes to sell it. Would it be okay for you to find out which office it would be, and then maybe pass it on to the director, and we can ask for that person to come in here and give us a presentation with that? I don't think we're gonna solve it here, so I'm not curious. The number is a big number, and I don't get it. I don't understand.
I've tried, I've thrown my hands up. I've talked to 2 different years. I've talked to the county auditors. They're the ones that write the check, and they can't explain it. So somebody else has to do it. The treasurer says he doesn't pay it.
All right, if no one objects, I'll ask our treasurer to enlighten me, and if she can ask someone at the county. Anyone object to that approach? And yes, trustee Robinson?
I'm not objecting. I'm just saying that just because it was explained to one trustee and he doesn't understand it, doesn't mean that if somebody comes in and talks to the rest of the trustees, that they're not going to.
That's right, I couldn't follow that. I don't understand it either. I don't know what this $300,000 is sitting out there. I don't know what it is, and I don't think trustee Plus knows, and I'm not sure you
I'm
guys
saying
saying
it.
it. Nobody seems to really know.
I know Catherine, who runs the office and makes the spreadsheets and sends the checks out, says I've paid everything. I don't know why they would have that number in there. And if that is misunderstanding to other trustees and they can, or it's misunderstanding to me, then, have at it, talk to her.
All right,
Please.
we'll find out. Okay, we count this one as unresolved and not gonna be resolved right now. Did you have other additional things to do with the report here?
Oh, sure. So, let's go to page 15. And this is your balance sheet. And this balance sheet does not show your capital assets that you capitalize and are depreciating, nor does it show your long-term liabilities. And the reason is, as I stated earlier, you budget and operate on basically a cash basis. So this is what's called a modified cash basis. It shows your current assets and your current liabilities, cash in the bank, and what you owe vendors within the next month, 2 months, et cetera. So your current assets are 4.6 million at September 30th, 24. And you had liabilities of 218,000 at that same time period. And the deferred inflows that are related to property taxes, I'm not going to delve into that because that will make what we were just speaking to even more confusing. Again, at a different time and different place, I would be happy to sit down and talk about that and show you the worksheets that we put together based on the information that the county provides to both you and to us.
Just stay with questions while you go. Okay, go ahead.
I don't really see the purpose of this. I guess maybe it's a government requirement. Basically, we are looking at how much money we have in our accounts. You could subtracting off liabilities. And then you're looking at that, comparing to how much money we have in the accounts is what it looks like to me. Right? For the fund balances, it looks like you're just comparing account balances, taking liabilities out, and then comparing it to fund balances. Am I missing something? Are you just comparing balances, the bank account?
This is a balance sheet that reports your assets, just like in a for-profit statement that you were talking about. This shows you at a certain point in time, your assets and your liabilities. It's called a balance sheet. It's a reflection at a certain date and time. So,
But it's based on fund balances, not on your equipment you own or any of the other assets. It's just, you're comparing fund balances to fund balances is what it looks like. I just find it a little.
so if you were at that date, if you were to collect all of the money from the county and other people that owed you and take the cash that you have, pay off all your bills, the ending result of that is your fund balance. So assets less liabilities is fund balance. In the for-profit, you would see assets less liability is equity. So same concept. I don't know how else I can clarify that.
It's comparing to what's in the bank is what I see. The fund balances at the bottom is based on the cash we have on hand.
Page 17. This is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in your fund balance. So this shows your revenues for the year, fiscal year, September 30th, 2024, which I need to put my glasses on. We're $5,585,028, and your expenses, which were $6,970,097,571. And then you also had insurance proceeds this year, which goes into a different category on your financial statements. And these financial statements are not our presentation format. These are governmental accounting standards, financial statements. This is the way they have to be presented. And so your net change in fund balance, which, in the for-profit world would be net income or net expense, was $669,000. So you had a positive change in your fund balance for the year. So net income, $669,326. Pages 19 through 21, these are CIN's financial statements. Again, balance sheet showing their assets and liabilities, and net position is what it's called for. Their type of entity rather than fund balance. Page 20 is the revenues and expenses. And they had an actual $48,000 of net income or change in net position as it's called in the governmental world. And then page 21 is your statement of cash flow. It shows you the actual cash you brought in, actual cash you spent for the year, and reflects that, shows your change in your cash balance. Pages 22 through 39 are your footnotes to your financial statements. Those describe the accounting policies of the district, which most of those, the way that you have to report are again, according to governmental accounting standards. You don't have an option. It also explains in more detail your capital assets, long-term debt, things of that nature that are on the face of your financial statement. So I'm not going to go through those pages. If you have a particular question that you want me to answer and break that, I'll be happy to. Or if you have a question that you want to ask or clarify later, I'll be happy to as well. And then page 41, this is your budget to actual statement. So it reflects your original budget, your final budget, your actual amounts for revenues and expenses, and the variance with that between the budget and the actual. That's what we have for today. Again, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, boss.
I must have overlooked, or maybe it's not in here, but when we submit our, I don't know if it's called the L2, but when we publish our annual budget in the paper, the notification, we're claiming we have $8 million operating budget. And it is pretty clear to me that we're getting in, close to 6,000 or 6 million, and we're spending 6 million. I still don't understand why we have to show 2 million as income when it's actually just an asset. So that's the carryover to cover us for 4 months. Do you get involved in that at all? Why wouldn't we be saying we have an $8 million budget when we've really got a 6 million on page 41? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure where you're getting the 8 million. So I don't think I can expect.
None of your reports show.
This
8 million.
report shows the budget that was approved for that fiscal year. And it's comparing to what you actually then ended up receiving and what you actually ended up spending.
For some reason, I thought I saw it in a previous year report, but it looks like you're doing it the way I would do it, which is to show we got basically a $6 million budget. That's what we approved. That's what we budgeted. But we have to publish in the paper that we had an income of over 2 million. That was the previous year's carryover. Did you have that in here anyplace?
That's what is in your fund balance. Yeah, your carryover, your fund balance. So would be, you've got this cash in the bank already. You're going to bring in this amount. You're going to spend this amount. That's where $8 million comes. Yeah.
Why would they say that's income when it's just an asset? It's our fund. It's our account.
It's a carryover.
It's a
And so
carryover,
they
but
show
it's
it
not
as
income.
a source of income that you may spend.
It's not income. It's just an asset. It's just our
It's,
fund balance.
it is money that is in the bank for you to spend for future years.
Yeah, I object to calling it a $8 million budget that we have to do, but anyway, okay.
I have a kind of general question. When we do our budget, let's say we allot X amount for buying books or a certain amount for utilities or whatever it is. As the year progresses, how do we know that the business office has actually not spent money that we had allotted for a certain line item for something else. And I don't, we're not trusting, who actually looks at that? Is that our treasurer's job? Is that what, something you cover in your audit? So I'm asking, if we said we were gonna spend $50,000 for books and X amount for some other line item, and they wanna spend $52,000 and take some out of somewhere else, does anybody, who looks at what, which GL code, I guess, it is that we are applying the rules to? Who looks at that? Because I don't. And I don't know if that's an expectation of you. I know I sign checks that are over a certain amount of money, but I don't look at what GL code is being applied to. Where does that factor in?
And as part of the audit, we do sampling and testing of your expenses and prove where they were coded to make sure that it is an appropriate coding.
Okay.
We definitely do not look at every single check or
Right.
review which paying us money.
But
So internally, that would be part of your monthly process and reviewing the financial statements. During our procedures, we found that you were coding your utilities all to collections or things of that sort, we would definitely bring that to your attention. The main item that we have to look at is, your spending expenditures overall, compared to your budget, compared to your operations. But
you do a statistical sampling of,
we do that, we do
okay.
statistical, and we also just draw samples from account detail too.
What detail?
Account detail, so like collection account would be a good one.
Mhm.
We'll get the general ledger detail for that from Michelle. And we may decide to look at every expense over $10,000. But then again, we will give a range of check numbers and we'll draw a statistical sample and look at those too. So it's a variety of ways that we do that.
Good. Does anyone else have any questions for the auditor? No, well, thank you, Tony. Thank you for coming and presenting us, and I'm hoping we'll have lots of good reading to sit there and listen to all the pages. So,
Have insomnia.
Thank you, sir.
English picked up.
Well, no findings, I assume that. No findings?
Oh, sorry, yes, no findings, any reports, yeah.
Thank you. Very good, thank you.
And then I can send the worksheets for property taxes. I'll send them over to you now and we can look at those.
All right, so we're on stage up here. Next up is the director's report. And then number 8.
All right, just like to thank my program department and communications department and all the staff that made the presence at the North Idaho State Fair a success. Served 3,952 attendees, reinforcing the value we bring to programming. And also, of course, the 980 community members that we interacted with at the fair. We did a lot to support our strategic plan. So very grateful for all that being done. There was a question last meeting about website statistics, so my communications department provided me with a bit of info on that. So it was a question about active users versus new users. So we track this stuff through Google Analytics. It's a tool Google provides, tracks how people interact with your site. And one of the key things it shows is the difference between active users and new users. So an active user can be any user, whether new or returning, as long as they are on a page for at least a second. Now, new users, on the other hand, are visiting for the first time, which Google identifies using browser cookies or device IDs. So these stats help us understand both our reach and our retention. How many people were attracted for the first time versus how many are coming back and staying engaged. It's all tracked automatically through a code that we've added to our site. By we, I mean my communications department, not me, but so that's just a little bit of information on that. And again, anything else about the statistics page, I'm happy to find out about.
Just one little question. What's the difference? I'm not a social media guy. What's the difference between a view and a visit? I see that for Facebook here and for Instagram. I learned that's what that symbol is. But I don't know what difference is between a view and a visit.
I will get back to you on that.
Yeah, good.
I mean, it's typically something like they hit the page once, or if if they, like, I'm more familiar with like engagement. Oh, yes, someone else can answer.
I think viewing and you're following them.
Oh, okay.
You have them on your
I know
phone.
what that is.
Yes. And visits are you actually go and seek them out because you're not following them.
That's good enough for me. No homework. Thank you.
Another statistic on there, I do want to just, thank the board for their patience, regarding our minor card policy. I know we've been looking at the same statistic for months now. And obviously that had a lot to do with just all the changes that were happening at the same time, the implementing the new card policy, kind of just waited and waited, as CIN, issues developed. So, I'm hoping that certainly October, maybe November, the latest, that statistic at the bottom there will finally be different because it'll reflect our ability to implement that aspect. My first board meeting was a year ago tomorrow, and my first day being a year ago, 2 days ago. So I just want to thank the board, and the staff and the community for the first year, which was fun.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks. Summer and back to school are important times for my programming team. We continue to solidify that team. So we're completing the onboarding of an adult programmer for Pinehurst. You'll remember I brought the changes to the program, specialist job description. So, building on that, we're completing the onboarding for a Pinehurst adult programmer. We have interviews tomorrow for adult programmers, an adult programmer for Rathdrum. And we have an interview next week for a youth programmer for Harrison. I think that'll end up completing the roster. So that's moving along. I'm also working on some internal adjustments. We have a few district level programming staff, as opposed to the branch level. And so we're looking at that, trying to improve services to homeschoolers, kind of specialize in that. And also better ways that we can support the branch level program staff. So we have obviously 2 managers, they have district level support staff, and then there's the branch programmers. So that's all in the works. Strategic plan update. Surveys completed 1,151, which is, I'm guessing, about 300 more than the last time it was done here 3 years ago, which is good. And we had 34 stakeholder conversations completed, 14 focus groups with 55 total attendees. And there's still one more scheduled for September, late September. Community events, we had 11 events in August with 1,649 community members conversations. And that, so that includes the 10 days of the fair for 980 conversations. And then one event held in September with 71 community member conversations. I think there's still another event scheduled in September. So this brings us to the close. September brings us to the close of the data gathering phase. And October will bring the data analysis phase. And then after that is when we bring in a facilitator to work with the staff and the board as far as having facilitated sessions to carve out new mission, new vision, goals and objectives. So those are the next couple of phases. I think we're still on track to publish the strategic plan within the first month of the new year. So hopefully in January, worst case, into February a little bit, just depends on publication and design for the product. District office update. We have an interest in a property within our taxing district. We're working with a realtor to see if things can materialize for this opportunity, but I don't have too much more to report this time, just keeping you in the loop. Collection development update. New collection development librarian is settling in. Our focus is on making sure that with the dissolution of CIN, our patrons will still have access to the materials they want. So we established an email address, collectiondevelopment@communitylibrary.net. This was to facilitate people offering more than one title at a time, because if they use our form online, they can only put in one title. That's kind of cumbersome if they say, I want these 20. So we set up this page so that we can, especially with homeschoolers who are really reaching out to us saying, hey, we have a lot of items that we're gonna miss. So we've done that. And also we're looking more closely at interlibrary loans. I was talking with my new collection development manager, who I think actually before taking on that role was focused on interlibrary loans. And just important to remember, there's a lot of confusion, but interlibrary loans is not what was happening with the consortium. Consortium borrowing is simply borrowing within the libraries that are part of the consortium. Interlibrary loan in that context is actually outside the consortium. You're going to bring in a special vote from like a state, another state or a university library or something like that. So that's technically interlibrary loans. But interlibrary loan is actually one of the main mechanisms that library use. There's lots of libraries that aren't in consortia, and they use interlibrary loan granting. So we're looking more closely at interlibrary loans. Just to give you an example, so before the CIN well, so in July, there was about 320 interlibrary loan requests. But then after the holds were turned off in August, we're up to about 410 interlibrary loan requests. And so in the past, we would typically fill those interlibrary loan requests. But what we're doing now is we're trying to focus our attention on seeing those requests and then analyzing them against what would have been filled in CIN, right? And there's a good chance that we'll be turning a lot of those ILL requests into purchases rather than in the past, majority would have just been filled as ILL. So there's a lot of different ways you can assess your collection and get a sense of what the patron wants. One of them is, they make suggestions. The other is like through the website. And then the other would be, analyzing interlibrary loans to get a sense of what our patrons are looking for that we don't have, and then turn those into purchasing. So that's just something that's going on in the works. And then last, I just want to publicly thank my IT department and technical services department for all the work that they're doing to ensure the smooth transition with the dissolution of the consortium. And it's important for me to say that my IT department is actually just one person, all right? So it sounds like he has a lot of help, but he doesn't. So that's Mark Foster, and he's been doing a great job at decoupling the library catalog that we have with Bywater called Co-op. And there's a lot involved in that, whether it's patron records, it's just parameters for cards, it's actual cataloging items. So it's a lot of work, and he's been doing a great job. And then Carrie Wilson, who's technical services department, she's been taking care of the overdrive stuff. So working with Coeur d'Alene, just ensuring that, we're gonna get our 60%, rest of, everyone else is getting their 40%, and just making sure that on October 1st, we hit the ground running with our own system. So I do want to thank them. It's a ton of work going on. It's not that easy to decouple a consortium. And so, it was a very short time frame. So I just want to say thank you to them. And that is it for my report.
Questions regarding the director's report? Trustee Plus?
Regarding the strategic plan, when you went through some of that, you said you're gonna bring a facilitator in and help
Yeah, I mean,
write things, but my question is the board gonna have a chance to have a say on what gets written or what areas we go into?
Yeah, typically, I mean, it just depends on the size of the organization. So after the data gathering, the data analysis, that'll be in-house with the strategic plan team. Because I haven't even looked at the data that we've collected so far. So the Survey Monkey has some of it, and we're integrating, the results from the other mechanisms. So we look at all that. So we're just not throwing it at the facilitator, but we're gonna package that in a way that we can. But the facilitator is usually brought in because it's not usually someone in the institution who's going to lead let's say a room full of people to carve out a new mission vision. They have that sort of skill set and put stickies all that kind of stuff. So that's what the facilitator is being brought in for. The question is, and I haven't really finalized this in my mind, I haven't talked to my team yet necessarily, but the question is whether there's a staff of 60, obviously, so all staff, and then do a board one, or do we do an integrated one? There's gonna be an opportunity for staff to go through it, opportunity for board to go through. And I think for me, the thing is that the board has a different role to play than the staff, so I would rather have the board come in at a point in time where things are more fleshed out and less raw. If you brought in too soon, then it can be less productive. So obviously the board it's gonna have, because all this is vision and mission, right? And this is key goals and objectives to satisfy in the next 5 years. So 100%, the board has to be involved in the final kind of say on all those kinds of things. But I don't think it's great for the board to be brought in too soon.
Sure.
Because the staff, we need to look at that, because the staff are the ones who are gonna be able to say, we can achieve this goal, because they're the ones that have to execute the goal, right? So they need to be brought in so that, we can achieve that. And it's better for the board to come in after that, so they can see that these goals that have been presented are achievable, and then at that point, we tweak things from there, so.
And just one comment up there on the first page of the director report. The communications department was available each day and answered questions for 980 community members. So I don't know if that was just Megan Ward, and that's a lot of people to talk to. And or was she on vacation for 10 days at the fair? I don't know, but that's a lot of people to engage with.
Yeah, I will say Megan did the lion's share of that, but obviously, she was able to pull on other people to help. But yeah, it definitely very grateful for Megan and all she's been doing.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions for the director regarding the director's report? No? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number, let me see where we are here, number 9, the board calendar dates and locations. So part of our board packet included a calendar. Everyone should have gotten that, taken a look at it. I'll make one initial comment, question, more or less. Can we make this a rolling calendar, meaning, here we are looking at October, the first event on there, October 16th. And it goes away down through September 16th, 17th of 2026. Next month, it would be nice to see the October drop off and October in 2026 add on. And instead of having to make paper copies every month, maybe put it on the board's portion of the website. We can either print it or stare at it, whatever we want to do. But I was just wondering if that was a good idea or not, because if we just leave it as a static report and we go down to September next year, like, okay, what's going on next month? I'm just curious if that's a good way. I kind of think it would be better if we drop one off at next month and we add a new one. So we have a live calendar at all times. Is that good, bad? I'm open to ideas, but that was one of my comments. Trustee Plus.
I would probably not go look on the webpage to go get a new calendar the next month. I might remember it after 3 or 4 months, I could go get an update, but I kind of like getting an update, and maybe every 3 months it could be updated or something, but it can still be on the website.
I don't need one every month either, but I certainly don't think we should have one printed and put the burden on staff to constantly give us a new calendar every single month. I think it's a waste of time and paper. But I guess I'm good with every month change on the website, or give us a new one in hard copy every 3 or 4 months. Does that work for you, Trustee Foss? Anybody else? Trustee Robinson?
What was the plan going to be?
I don't know. Okay.
Well, I think in this case, it's really, I think the reason why it was written on the agenda as such, isn't just about dates and locations, because in the past, when I first got here, I think there was a request to like put which policies and everything we were gonna do, so that's not the purpose of this. This calendar was just to make sure that we get the dates and locations set, because they end up going on the website, we have to actually go far in advance of in this room and everything, so that's what the purpose of this particular moment is to just confirm that these are gonna be the dates, and these are gonna be the locations. It was a bit tricky, like last year when I got here, things were a little bit different, because we ended up going to Apple in November, because that's when it opened, but the idea here is that the nicer weather months are when the board starts traveling around. So last year was a little bit different, which kind of put I think on the last year calendar, we were supposed to be Pinehurst today, and it was moved up to Post Falls, and that's because Pinehurst was actually on the first day, on like the first month of the calendar previously. So last year, I don't think was a really good example. So I was just trying to kind of solidify this would be kind of a standard. I hope that we could keep to, but so in my mind, I like the stability of things. So it would have been similar, whether it rolls or not, if we can handle anything. But, and again, I like the idea of adding more onto this calendar, that the board wants, like which policies we're gonna look at, if that's what they want still. This isn't an election situation, it's just all the standard election ones were taken off. So again, I'm open to anything. The only reason why I put this on the agenda this time was to confirm dates and locations.
Okay, interesting, because I do have three different comments. We covered one of them, the rolling calendar. My next one was policies up for scheduled review. Our policies, I don't know if they all do, have a review date at the bottom. And I was thinking it might be wise if we could see in advance, so we don't have a cluster of 10 different policies all up for review at the same time. If we're gonna try and do our job to keep them fresh and timely, it would be good to sprinkle into these different months, even if we don't hit them all, we have visibility of which policies are coming up for review. It would help in creating the agenda, at least for me. So because I don't sit there looking at all the policies and see what the review dates are. So I don't know who does, somebody needs to do that, but I would think it'll be helpful that we can see plugged in there, and this one's up for review this month. Other trustees have thoughts on that? I don't do all the thinking. Yes, everybody likes that idea. I don't know. Is something give us on? I don't know. We want to resolve it, but we have about, we got 15, 20 policies at least. And they all have review dates every, was it 3 years, 5 years, whatever, they got different anniversary dates. And so, or I can just not do that, just hold staff accountable for the fact that we don't want any policies expiring. And then it's not my fault.
Yeah, I think last time, to me, there's usually a policy matrix and then there's a calendar.
Oh, there is?
I think last time that I presented like a year ago, the idea was to put it onto this calendar. So it can go either way. We can have a policy matrix that everyone can look at and see, oh, these are the ones, or we can put them on here. The challenge with putting them on here is that even last year, they changed a lot, right? You know, so that's my only concern is combining a policy matrix with the calendar. That sometimes just makes for a lot of changes.
I like that idea, because I have my own personal parking lot, and one of those things on there was, we did once get a list of all the policies, and I think it included the review dates. I'm fine with not having to mix the two together, that's okay, maybe we can get a fresh list of all the policies with all the review dates on it, at least is that okay? Trustee Plus.
I would like us to use some common sense, and if we have more urgent policies, that we set aside these reviews that just have a date stuck in the policy. If we've got something we need to work on, that needs to move to the forefront of the agenda, and you know, a review of the policy can wait a month, but maybe not even, if there's things on the agenda we need to do that.
I agree, I'm just saying, just for visibility, so we can see that we're doing.
I just don't want us
Right.
marching to some matrix that was.
I'm not saying it's gonna drive everything, right, but it's a visibility issue, and I know when we came on the board, there were some policies that haven't been reviewed in, I don't know, it was 5 years or 6 years, or whatever, not all of them, but there were a number of them. Okay, so, would that be okay with the board if we get a fresh list of all the policies, just a list of the policies and all the review dates, is that? Okay, okay, we got that, as approved there. My last commentary I had noted here was, I looked at the different presentations, I think they were called here, library tour and reports and so on. And we had different departments reporting out. And then I took a look at the organizational chart. The ones that were not on there, if it was oversight, fine. If it wasn't, it was intentional. Communications was not on there for any kind of a presentation. IT and the business manager. So I don't know if that was an oversight mistake or whether we want those on there, but they are 3 quasi departments that are they're not accounted for in terms of the different presentations. Like I see collections, like let's say in March 2026, collection department report. Okay, well, these 3 departments don't have any reports. So, hey, good, bad, mistake?
No, not necessarily a mistake. I was gonna put on there, but hadn't yet, was the communications department. It's kind of changing a little bit, just in its structure. So it will be on there. It'll probably be after April. It's a part of it has to do with what else is already on there. I might do all the election stuff. I don't have a little space. So I'll put a communications department report on there. I can put IT on there. Finance, I never really thought of that because they're here all the time.
Every month.
We're always talking about finance. So if it was something about the department that you wanted, other than what you're normally getting, that's fine. But definitely communications and IT can have it go.
Thank you. Okay, if no one else has come, I see one coming up here. As long as we can get a list of policies and the review dates, and then if it was acceptable, we just keep a rolling calendar moving along and keep it on the website. If someone wants to print it every now and then and give it out to the board, is that what we've agreed to? I don't want to leave it stuck to okay, good. Okay, very good. You had a question or comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just, we lost out on going to Pinehurst, so we don't go there at all this year, is that?
No, we're in June.
Well, that's next year, but I'm
Oh.
saying this year we would have.
Yeah, well, they did the report the very first month of, I think it was October. So they were gonna, if it was the same, it would have been October and September. On the last calendar, they were October and September, in which case they would have done it twice in 1 year. So they are, yeah, if we're looking at it from the distance from the last one to the next one, it's further. But in my mind, I'd rather stabilize the fact that we'd rather drive to Pinehurst and Harrison in the best weather possible, enjoy that, and so that's why they're getting June, July, August, we're back here for budget. So we really start moving around in the spring. rather than always try and just make it like, it just messes everything up. I'm just trying to stabilize it. Moving forward.
Okay, if there are no other questions regarding the board calendar. Our next favorite time is break. We are only 10 minutes behind schedule so far. So it is now, I'll go with rounding up 3:35, so reconvene at 3:45 again. It is now, we double check, 3:45, meeting will resume or all back to order. Next item on the agenda is executive session. And this will require a roll call vote when we do it, and I think it's 2/3 agreement, so I think if I got this correctly, move to go to executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74 well, I don't move yet. I don't need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061, and that's all.
So moved.
Okay, it has been moved to go into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061. And then, all those in favor?
It would be one B.
I'm sorry, 1B, okay.
It lists A and B, and I think it was a copy paste inadvertently listed A as well, but it would be 74-2061 1B.
1B, very good, okay. All those in favor, this is a roll call vote. Go ahead. Trustee Bell,
Oh,
that yeah, your name?
yay.
Yeah, okay, trustee Robinson,
Yes.
trustee Foss,
Yes.
Chair Haley, yes, okay, so we're. The motion is out of, passed, we'll go into executive session this time. Okay, it is 4:20 p.m. This meeting is called back to order. Definitely, yeah, now we need to make a motion, I guess, guys, we entertain a motion to come out of executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206. When the rule was that 1B.
So moved.
It has been moved to come out of executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206. Was it 1B?
1B.
1B. All those in favor, say aye.
I think we have to do the roll.
Is that your roll call as well?
I think so, to come out as well.
Well, Wolverine, you can always do roll call.
Yes.
Okay, Plus, yes. Hanley, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Robinson, yeah.
Yes, Robinson, yes. Okay, that's it. We're back in regular session. Okay, I entertain a motion at this time for the board to authorize the chair and general counsel to proceed as directed. Can I have a motion? Somebody want to move it?
So moved.
So moved, okay, very good. It has been moved for the board to authorize the chair and general counsel to proceed as directed. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, okay, the ayes have it. Okay, that completes that job. Next item on the agenda is the Harrison Library lease agreement. I got a copy of it in our table packet, I think, I know it's fine, it was not in the mail packet. I had only one question out of the whole thing. On the first page, in paragraph 2, it says tenant. The tenant or tenants are Harrison Library, Community Library. Is that supposed to be Community Library Network? It seems strange at the top we identified, I think the tenant as a Community Library Network, and then the tenant is now Harrison Community Library. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, technically I would define the tenant as Community Library Network, but the agreement is between CLN and the Grange. And then it's gonna be the Harrison Community Library, which is an instrumentality of CLN. So I didn't see it as a reason to kick anything back.
Okay for me? Anybody have any comments, questions, issues regarding the lease agreement? We had it, what, 2 meetings back, I think it was, and council reviewed it, I was told, is that correct? Hello, council, you reviewed it, you're okay with it?
I did, I reviewed and amended it, and I amended it primarily in regards to insurance indemnification and subrogation provisions. I prohibits waivers of subrogation, and we have constitutional and statutory provisions that prohibit us from lending our credit. So we can't purchase insurance for a private entity. We can't blanket indemnify a private entity because we're lending our credit to something they do that we would have to pay for. So the way we handle that is we provide certificates of insurance with a letter, maybe from MyCrimp, that says they would accept a tender of defense if they're being sued solely for associating with CLN or being in a contract with CLN. So they can be an additional insured, we can't indemnify them, but ICRIP will accept a tender of defense if they get wrapped up in a lawsuit for something they didn't do, just because they have a lease with us. So we see those in almost every single contract we have to change every single one, but it was pretty standard term changes. The other thing was that the prior lease, we would have had to change too, but as a 20-year term, and you could exercise a 20-year term if you wanted. So that was only the main substantive provision I noticed in this lease, really, other than, rents or whatever.
Okay, anyone else have questions, issues? Go ahead, Trustee Boss.
Has, the Grange looked at the revisions and
Yes, the Grange has seen it, it says in here that the board has to sign it first, then it goes back to them, so they've seen it and approved it.
Okay, anybody have any concerns? No? Okay, I assume tenant signature, is that director? Is that you?
In the last lease, it was the chair, the one from the original one was the chair.
I thought we threw the clerk, the newest person under the bus, but it said board clerk. All right, so the chair and the clerk sign? Okay, can we do that after the meeting? Is that work okay? Okay, we'll need an original word that we're gonna be using. They got like 6 copies on the table here, so I don't know which one we're gonna use as the real thing, but do you have a clean copy available?
We can get, it's just the ones that you have.
Okay,
Right
it's
on
up there. Oh, I didn't write on that one, okay.
Mine's not written.
I only copied one mistake, okay. All right, if we're okay, I'll sign it at the end of the meeting and I'll slow things down. All right, very good, okay. That lease agreement is approved and agreed to by the board.
did we make a motion?
We don't need to, if we have, general agreement, does everyone agree? Anyone disagree? Okay, well, without opposition, done. Okay, all right, I don't know if council wish to depart us, up to him at this point. Okay, we're on to the circulation policy discussion. I have a few opening remarks on that one here. I like to talk, not really. I'm assuming this policy is replacing the library cards for minors policy. Is that correct? That's my first step, because there are lots of things in the library cards for minors. It seemed to be all covered by this new policy. Is that a correct starting assumption?
Yeah, that was definitely a possibility. The only thing missing in this policy is just the preamble, but all the points in the minor card policy are covered in this one. So I think it certainly can.
All right, it was a nice preamble on the old, but I think when I went through it, everything on the old library cards for minors policy was covered, with the exception of the opening paragraph in the contents of the new, okay. So so as, I know this one stays in effect until we make the new one, but is that what we're going with, just to make sure we all understand that, and myself included? When we finally get to the point of finalizing this draft that was given out, circulation policy, that is going to supersede and replace the library cards for minors policy.
It certainly can, if that's the will of the board.
Well, I think it would be, because there's too many things that are back and forth on these, I think, so. Okay, so,
I prefer to keep the minor card policy.
well. So, well, that'll be second thing, okay.
I mean, if we do want to have 2 policies for the sake of the preamble or whatever, this one would have to be revised after.
Yeah, there's a duplicative, we'll call
If
it.
there's things that should be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well then, I'm assuming that we're going to tackle the new policy. Okay, I got that now. Okay, then I had one other comment that I have here. I like to hold the floor as long as I can. Oh, it's on my other sheet here. Next thing I had was, based upon my experience with the board, it's totally unrealistic to expect we're gonna finish this policy today, because we wordsmith things to death. And so, what I saw in here was looking at this new foreign policy I think what we need to do, it's my opinion here, is the only time critical item on here is, I think we need to have a verbal policy, if nothing else, to agree what is a card going to cost someone who is not a resident? Because October 1st, someone's gonna walk up to the desk at one of our libraries and say, I want to borrow a book, and, well, I'm sorry, you're not a resident, they need to buy a card, what are we gonna charge? And I think, it's my guess, we probably should just charge them what we charge people at the Pinehurst facility until we come up with a policy with a real formula. So that's number two, and so, and then the last thing I was gonna say is, and then if we're gonna go into this thing, I would suggest we go to a seriatim or paragraph by paragraph. We can't just jump around. So, would people agree? Because the only thing I see that's time critical in this is it's not fair to all the libraries out there and the staff to have people coming up with no answer as to what it costs for a library card. So that to me is immediate. We can make a decision. We don't have to put it in writing in my opinion. If they agree this is the price until we actually have a policy and we can change that. And is that more for everybody? Is anybody short your numbers?
And maybe you said this at the beginning of your,
My dissertation?
is the circulation policy, is this replacing a different policy or is this a brand new policy because of the dissolution of the CIN?
Yeah, because of all the circulation related, policies were at the CIN level. With the dissolution, we don't really have, we have some like ratifiers and guidelines about how loan periods and stuff, but we don't have a policy because we relied upon the CIN policy. So this is actually a new policy and it's really focused on the card types and then the responsibilities, related to the card. So, yeah.
And so it doesn't change the, like the minor card policy or it doesn't change any of that.
Well, the minor card policy will be obsolete because it refers to the CIN in it. So one way or the other, and there's planned for the next meeting, I think, to bring some of those CIN changes that were asked for. So there's a bunch of policies that need CIN deleted from them, and that would have come up in that context. But yeah, if this circulation policy focusing on the card types is approved, then that will also retroactively, if you wanted to keep the minor one, like we said, that would have to change or just supersede it.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Plus.
So down below, the question is the annual fee for a household. That's the one you're talking about.
Yes.
$1, but we say replacement cards are $1. So there's two different dollars costs we have to figure out, or
No.
$1 for sure.
No, that's just replacement. If someone's not a resident within the district, let's just say right now, Coeur d'Alene, a person living in the city of Coeur d'Alene, they're not gonna be able to check a book out of the CLN. And so they're gonna have to purchase a CLN library card, if I got it correct. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because the card's not gonna work anymore. And so we need to identify what they're gonna be charged for the card. I would say this much, in the long term, when we actually have a policy, we should make the amount that they're gonna be charged similar to what the median price taxpayer is paying within the district. It's not fair if they walk in and pay $10 for a card and the taxpayers who live here are paying $50, $60. But I think that until we come up with a formula and get into that part of it, we're never gonna get through this policy today, even if we sit here for 2 hours. I just know that's how it works. So we need to walk away out of here giving guidance, I think, to the director saying, this is the price of a card. I'm okay with just going with whatever, I'm just saying me, I don't know if it's $25 a year or whatever it is, I think for Pinehurst. Is that?
I'm actually, sorry, I'm curious as to, I see a lot of red marks on your.
Oh, that's it.
I'm curious
Both
as to
sides.
why we can't get through this, but that's fine.
Because I've been here for 2 years and I know we don't even get to the first paragraph sometimes.
Well,
So
I do have a curiosity about
Yeah.
why this one would cause any difficulty. In relation to the fee, the fee has been $25. It's not just Pinehurst. On the books, there is a non-resident card fee for $25. And I just want to add a little bit of data to that. So with the dissolution of CIN, there'll be a lot of people who have never paid anything. Right now, we only have 127 patrons who have paid the $25 fee, right? And they're both like Nimer and Athol, 11 or Hayden, Pinehurst at 79, Masterman at 8, Spirit Lake had 1. So there's two different things happening here. There's people who have been used to having a free card because it was CIN was willy-nilly, like, basic, free this, free that. So they don't understand necessarily that, okay, this is all taxpayer based. There were some people that were paying a $25 card, but there's only 127 of them, right? So I'm just throwing that out there because I don't want you to think that we're talking about the entire spectrum of all the people that will be affected by the dissolution. I think every library should have a non-resident card fee. The fee has always been, in my experience, based on a formula, so that the taxpayer who pays taxes for this service feels that it's equitable, that another person who isn't in the tax district pays a similar amount, right? So again, there's two different things. I think, yes, it would be great to be able to begin October 1st with a number. If we set that number this evening and anyone pays attention and watches this, then we're gonna have a lot of non-resident card people coming in between now and October 1st to pay 25, unless you make it effective immediately, right? So, and then some people who have just recently, it's it's renewable, so they pay 25 for the year, or whatever. So yeah, there's lots to think about, but I don't know why we would struggle with this policy in particular. But yes, I think there needs to be an established fee for non-residents. Pretty standard.
And the reason I say we won't get through this is, even if we went through this thing, then we have to make changes. Then the changes have to be put together. We have to get a new copy. Then at some point it goes to council, the council reviews it, comes back. There's no way that can't be done in one sitting here, so that's impossible. So that's why I'm going back to the fact, I didn't know we had non-resident card process already for anywhere. But I think the biggest issue is gonna be Coeur d'Alene folks going to the Hayden Library and saying, I wanna check a book out, and go, boop, sorry, your card doesn't work here, you gotta buy one. I think that's the most likely place we're gonna have a lot of sales over there of new cards. And I think that we ought to say right now, here's what we're gonna charge. If the charge is $25, I'm just proposing the board says, yes, we agree. In the absence of a policy, which I don't even know where the $25 figure came from, I don't think there's a policy that talks about that. We ought to just say, okay, it's $25 until otherwise. And if they buy a card tomorrow and it's good for a year and we come with a policy a week from now, okay, well, they made out, the one person did or whatever. And when their anniversary of 1 year comes up, they're gonna pay whatever the price is at that time. So I'm open to other ideas here, but I really think we need to lock down and say, this is the price of a card so that staff can go forth on October 1st. Well, not just up, even now, but we're gonna have a lot of people walk up, I think, and be surprised after October 1st that can't use their old card in our libraries. Trustee Les.
So two questions. One is, if we don't do anything today with this, even set the price, there are non-residents that are coming in because of the new definition of there's no CIN. So they will pay 25 because we already have that in place. So we don't have to do anything today if 25 is what we want. And then the other is those 127, you named off Athol, and those are the libraries they went to, but they don't actually, somebody verified they don't live in the CLN district.
Yeah, these will be the patrons in our system when we do the search that come back as people who have paid $25 non-resident fee card.
But why are they non-resident? Because they're outside of the district? Or?
Yeah. They're outside of the district and they didn't avail themselves of one of the other many options because Liberty Lake would give out cards for free to anyone. So you could have driven there and got a card and you've been using it for 20 years and now you're gonna be surprised that you have to pay non-resident cards. So we happen to have some legitimately non-resident card fee payers to the tune of 127 people in those libraries. So
I'm fine with, if we do nothing with this today, just keeping the $25 fee until we get something. So it's not like we're not gonna charge them.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is that part of this is also the fact that because there were no certain policies related to CLN alone, there's nothing we can point to besides the minor card policy related to cards, right? We don't have any other card policies, right? So to me, this is a very straightforward policy. We have an adult card. We got the 2 minor cards, which is you can approve that because it's already been approved. It's just different wording. And then we just have the 2 others. It's very simple. There's the adult non-resident card, and then there's a school courtesy card, right? In the absence of this policy, I'm gonna have to bring it next month because we need one of these. Otherwise, people will come in and they could be institutional card. I want a basic card. See, I need to have a basic card. How come I can't get that? I think we need a card policy, right? And yeah, so sorry.
Trustee Robinson.
We could accept this policy and, go back and go through all your red marks. But it could be, if it needs to be, if we need to have a circulation policy, we can always change it the next month even, but it would be, a policy. And then also, the $25, I have a friend that just showed me, I was like, there's no way you pay that much. He pays almost $600 a year to CLN.
How many cards do you have?
And it's property tax.
Oh,
It's per, look on the back, it's $13.98 per $100,000 assessed. He's a wealthy man, but and here nor there, he doesn't use the library. So 25 is awfully low. I mean, you guys are gonna be hearing complaints no matter what, but 25 is awfully low. That's even lower than, like, say, a $300,000 home, and there's not a lot of homes around here less than that. And isn't that per household? So you could have like 5 people get cards, but you're only paying one price for that household. So $25 for 5 people, if it was a 5-person family. So I think it should be more. I think we should establish an amount today. And I think we should pass this and then work on it later.
no, I mean, if no one objects, it's going to be Assistant Professor. Okay, Nat, go ahead. Back to you.
The school courtesy card and the non-resident card, the 3 types of resident cards are all things that we have been doing. They were just done under CIN policy. And so none of this is new to our staff, nor is it new to the organization. I think that's why it's puzzling to the director and I as to why this is a puzzle, because we've been doing these things since the beginning of time. And we just need to get it written down so the staff have something to rely upon as they're interacting with customers who might have questions about what kind of about our policy. So it's nothing new that we're asking to be done.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bowman?
Yeah, it seems to me, I mean, when I've gone to libraries in the past, I ask them what kind of cards they have available. They normally give you a sheet. You then pick out which one you want. You sign up for it. I think on day 1, which is October 1, correct? You guys need something to be able to show people. So I don't know if we need to phrase it as it's a temporary circulation policy, but as Trustee Robbins said, we can okay this so you have something to go to people with, because people are going to be confused if there's nothing for them to refer to decide what they want to get. And I think it's pretty important for us to have something day 1, even if it's not perfect.
I have one question before. Where is a $25 fee written anywhere, any policy that I'm not aware of? Is it in a financial management manual? Is it just, it was, I guess, okay, so we're not violating anything, we changed the amount, but okay. All right, Trustee Foss.
So I don't understand this line, the Idaho Tax Commission formula. Is the Idaho Tax Commission recommending this is what libraries do, or where did that come from? Because I don't think CLN is charging people $13.98 per 100,000 assessed value. We're much lower than that.
Yeah, so I just received the information from the Idaho State Tax Commission. For a home with a market value of 450,000 and an assessed value of 325,000, the annual cost comes out to 45.21 per year. The formula rate breaks down to 13.91 per 100,000 for the library levy and 7 cents per 100,000 for the Vista judgment levy, totaling 13.98 per 100,000. So that's where that's coming from.
That you're referring to what our new budget is, what we turned in?
Yeah, the fellow's name is Ben, came from Ben, Idaho Tax Commission, via my finance.
But they don't have anything to do with it. This is coming from our assessor, that's the levy rate.
Yeah, so he's quoting the average Kootenai County taxpayer pay, that they pay annually. So that's the numbers he's using.
What was the amount? You know what?
Well, he was basing it on a $450,000 market value assessed at 325,000. But that's not, the reason I had this, but I only gave the one formula because 1398 is what we're getting from this data from the state or the county. But we need to decide I mean, if we choose the really wealthy person's number, then it's a lot of money. If we choose the average, let's say the average is 450,000, then that's how we set it. So we just, to me, the formulas are, I mean, I don't know if there's too much debate about the 1398. Because that debate really has to happen.
I think that's way too.
I think we should, I don't think we should be beating the death the formulas right now. I just think we're getting too far out. It's, what gonna say here? Regarding the cost. Anyway, if we have a 25-hour, when we get to a formula, in my opinion, we should find out what the median price of a home is, which I think is around $547,000 in Kootenai County. And then you minus probably the homeowner exemption thing, whatever, $100,000, $120,000, there's your amount of money. Well, when we find out what is the average from the assessor's office or the treasurer, what is the amount of money that person on that median price home pays for to support the CLN. And then there you go. Then you round it up or down $5 to make it an even number. Nobody wants to put pennies in the thing or single dollar bills. And there's your formula. But I don't think we're at a formula stage here. I think we gotta go higher level here and just say, we've been using $25. If $25 is okay for right now, let's leave it run, or a different amount. Okay, say $50. So that we have some way of acting as of, again, I think we're gonna get a glut of customers on October, and I think we should agree what we're gonna charge. And then what policy, what are we under this policy? But it's not fair. I don't say not fair, but I don't think it's wise to just leave the amount of money unknown. And I think we're gonna have a glut of new customers. And they may say, well, $25 is a bargain probably, because my guess is the median price home person's gonna be paying probably between $50,000 or $80,000, $50,000 to $70,000 a year. So people are buying cars for $25, they're getting a bargain.
I think that's too high.
Well, I can say I'm paying about $50 or $60 a year. No, I'm sorry, $150. I forget, it's a lot of money. But I don't know what mine says. But do we need this? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, like, obviously it's a formula. It should, we're talking about two different people.
Yeah.
One, you don't want to insult the taxpayer in your county by putting in $20, $10, $25. That's an insult to our people. $80, $100 is maybe too onerous for the non-resident. So, I mean, $45 is the kind of number coming in at this formula, $13.90. So again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure whether we need to wait a month so that each of the members of the trustees can go get a list of what the house, like I just looked on Redfin and I got $515 for Post Falls, $460 for Hayden, $475 for Spirit Lake. The average cost a house, assuming someone else went on Google and did the same thing, it's about $436,000. So the info we got from the county is pretty much, accurate, right? And it's coming in at $45. So my concern is that one of the main teachable moments here about the dissolution of CIN, that the public libraries in the nation are built upon a taxpayer base. That's how it works. So we have to be very careful about insulting our taxpayers by giving non-taxpayers a super deal on a card. It doesn't make sense. So $25 is not the way to go. whether we want to grandfather that in because they're used to it, but the reason why I brought this data, they're not used to it. There's only 127 of them that even knew it. So I don't think, originally I would have said, okay, let's grandfather in the $25 because everyone, that's what it was, and we don't want to shock them. But bottom line is, I love data, and when I get the data, I think, well, actually, there's only 127 patrons of the thousands that actually even used the non-resident fee, made use of it. So I think now is the time to set a number. And actually, I've been in libraries where the trustees actually change it every year. Every year, part of one of the things they do is look at the formula and change the number.
Mhm.
So you could, as a trustee board, you could actually change the non-resident fee annually. If you wanted
Trustee
to.
Robinson.
Okay, so 45 a year is $3 and something a month. So $5 a month is $60, right, for a year. $5 a month, and again, that's per household. So I would, if 45 is recommended, I'd be okay with that, but I think 60 is even better.
Are you 45, 50, 56? Oh, I can't do that. I'm good with $50. I think that's I did read just recently, I don't think it was more than 3 weeks ago, to the median price according to the Coeur d'Alene Realtors Association, whatever it is. The median price of a home in Kootenai County is $547,000. And then when it comes to tax, I think they take that tax homeowner's exemption thing off. So I think $50 is a very fair number personally. I think we should, and I'm hearing, seriously, I heard what you're saying, 60, and you're saying it's 45. I think $50 is still going to be below what the median homeowner, the median price home in Kootenai County is going to come out at. So would we be okay with just verbally establishing $50 is it? And somebody wants to throw another number in there, go ahead. I don't think we're going to solve the formula today.
I'm fine with 50. And we could, like Director was saying, if we want to change it at some other point, we can, but I'm okay with 50. I'm not okay with 25.
Trustee Boss.
I think this number is high myself, but I'd like to look at it. But I would be more for 40 or 45.
Okay, well, how many people want to go 50?
I actually want to go 60, but I'll go 50.
Okay, well then, if nobody has any objections, we're gonna go $50. Is that, Doctor, okay with that? See any reason why we shouldn't?
I'm okay with whatever the board.
Okay, the board says $50, there it is. It's $50 for a card, effective, what effective date? You wanna make October 1st? Or tomorrow? I mean, I think it's too fast for tomorrow.
When the policy comes out,
Well, the policy won't be out for a month.
let's approve it.
I think it should be effective immediately.
Yeah, and we are, I plan to make a motion that we accept this policy as well.
How much time would it take the director's staff, the director to get word down to everybody what the amount of money is? Would that be, can you do that tomorrow, or do you wanna wait till October? What's a reasonable timeline? I mean, somebody or.
Well, whatever the board decides, that we execute as soon as it's decided. So it would just be a question of, farming that information out to the departments, to circulation staff. I mean, I don't know if that, I'm not sure what we're really worried about in this case. I just wait, as it works here, the board is the governance board. You guys set policy and I execute. So I would love to see this policy approved with the number. That's why I kind of had it all in black with only the red part being the number we need to decide tonight. And then we would just execute it.
Trustee Brown.
So how long realistically or how much time do you need to execute it?
I'm not really sure what the question is. There's only 127 patrons that have ever in the last, paid 25, which means if we just executed tomorrow, the next person that comes in is gonna be asked for the 50. I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't think.
Is an email effective tomorrow? Make it work.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna tell you tomorrow, and you tell me, well, it's gonna take you a week to get that word out to everybody on your far-reaching libraries here.
No, because we don't need to get the word out to patrons.
No, staff.
We need, staff will know.
I'm talking staff.
It's for the-
Okay. Well, just the people, Trustee Robinson.
I move that we accept the circulation policy. There's no date on it.
We haven't looked it over.
Well, we can discuss.
Well,
I
we need to go, okay.
I
Go
move
ahead.
that we accept the circulation policy as is, period, then my own little thoughts here, we can always reopen it and go through all your red marks. But I think it's important, especially since the library's literally already been going off of this. It's just that it said CIN on the top instead of CLN. So this isn't something new for the library. We just need to let them know they can keep doing it. And then we can put it on November, this beautiful thing right here, and be on the November meeting.
Okay, it's been moved to approve the circulation policy. Discussion is now up for discussion. I'm going back to the number because that's on this policy. Do we agree we're gonna charge anyone buying a new card effective tomorrow, $50? Yes or no?
Yes, we already
Yes?
decided
Yeah,
that.
Is that a yes or no? Or you going somewhere else? What do
I
you,
have to amend the motion
what?
because she didn't say anything about that. We approve it, the amendment is to
She made a
approve.
motion. I repeat the motion.
We
Now it's
have to-
open for discussion. Is that correct?
Okay, point
Yes,
of
but
order,
I-
point of order, we already said yes to the
Please,
50.
please state.
It's not in the motion.
Point of order, we already accepted 50, so it's already on here.
It's not in the motion.
It doesn't have to be because we already accepted $50. The three of us said yes to 50. If you didn't write it down on yours, then it's not on yours.
I'm getting lost in our
We-
elementary
we-
here.
Okay.
There was a motion made, I'm sorry, I have the floor again on the chair for a second. There was a motion made, if I understood correctly, to approve the circulation policy.
Yes.
I repeated the motion, and now it opens up the floor for discussion, if I got my procedures down correct.
Yes.
And now I was the first one to have discussion, and I'm going down to the point where I'm saying, I don't know if we agreed to a date. We agreed to $50, I understand that. We
Thank
agree this effective tomorrow? And then your hand comes up and then you know what, okay, go ahead. Tell me,
I'm saying the motion just said accepted. And we haven't modified anything. So the motion should be accepted with $50 change and effective today.
Okay,
But
fine.
that-
Let me,
that- the
let me
motion-
modify my motion. Even though we did all already say $50. Okay, I,
$50 is done. Is there a date?
No,
We don't
it's
need.
not, we haven't agreed to anything.
Go ahead. Trustee Robinson, you have the floor.
I move that we accept the circulation policy with added $50 for a non-resident card holder that has to pay yearly, $50. In that little red spot that's open to put money in. I don't believe I have to add a date to that. Do I have to say an effective date for the motion?
We approve it today, it's effective today.
Okay, then there's my motion. Do you want me to say it again?
I think I'm gonna hear, yeah, I need to hear that again.
I-
It was the red mark, because I guess so many red marks on mine, I lost.
Right here.
I lost it.
It's on
Okay.
line 33.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. I move that we accept the circulation policy with the amendment that we are charging $50 for a non-resident card.
I just moved that we approve the circulation policy with the amendment or change to include an actual figure of $50. Line number 33. Okay, we got it on the floor. Now I guess this motion is now open for discussion. Okay, well, I'll go discussion first. I'm not gonna go through all of my things here, but even the title's out. It's library cards and circulation policy. I need some comments in the first paragraph. I don't understand why we're allowing, I didn't know the definition of interlibrary loan services. The director made comments that are refers to that when he was giving his director's report, because going down into the card policy below in the minor cards, it says they can have interlibrary loan services. Well, I thought we weren't going that way because we don't know what's being ordered. I'm not sure if I got that correct there, but are we opening a door to minors being able to order stuff from other libraries? Paragraph 3, which is line number 9, it should say resident library cards must be renewed every 2 years. I think there, we got the replacement cards. My question on that was, how long does it take to get a replacement card? Does it be mailed to the person? Does it take them 2 minutes at a station? They're done? Because $1 is not very much money. To me, it should be $5 or $10. If you're not responsible enough to hold on to your card, too bad. You should pay a little bit more money if it costs us administrative time and if we have to mail a card out. We have these words on adult card, minor card. Again, this is just a wordsmith thing. This gives, that's extra words in it. Just card holders, age 18 and so forth. I don't like the way it's structured, but I can live with it the way it is there. It's not going to stop me right now from temporarily approving this. Again, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so I don't understand what the mature content, if there's mature content available to e-resources, which we're giving minors access to here. Down below, there's non-resident cards on line number 30. It says adult non-resident card. It should just be non-resident cards. Because I don't see anywhere else where it says minors non-resident cards, so I don't know what that word is for. Let's see. Fees incurred is on the second page there, line 47. Fees incurred to the use of this card. I don't know what those fees would be, other than the fact that I see somewhere else that I read that there's a charge for collecting. There's a collections fee if it's something has things over $100 of fees. But it would be nice to put, for an example, like what is one of those fees? But again, I can live with that right now. I'll skip the rest of my few edits on here, but I am a little concerned that almost everything in this policy is also in this other policy. So I feel that this is a total duplicate of that. Okay, I'm moving the floor for more discussion. And I think we need to extend our meeting. So I'll entertain an extension if someone wants to. Let me see, we have a few more things left here, so.
I move that we extend the meeting 15 minutes.
It's been moved to extend the meeting 15 minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay,
Okay.
I do have to leave at 5, so.
The motion carried. It's approved to continue for 15 minutes till 5:15. Okay, who wants else to talk about this policy? Trustee Foster.
So I would like an explanation about non-resident minors. Because maybe they aren't in CLNs, I mean, we think we don't have authority to say minors can't check out adult books, but how are we in non-residents, minors?
Yeah, I think, yeah, the goal here was simplicity. So the adult non-resident card says adult, because if you read further down into it, it's only by the adult paying this fee that they're able to now engage their minor into one of the possible choices. I mean, if this goes to council, then he might want to talk about whether or not they need to sign something saying by taking on this, they are going to, accept our policies across the board, right? And again, I don't know if there is a non-resident card. Yeah.
Without objection, trustee, I'm sorry, assistant director.
On the back end of COHA, we are setting it up so that there are minor, non-resident general access and minor, non-resident limited access cards, just like our regular children's cards. They're just not written in here into this policy because it was gonna get too clunky. But they're in the system on the back end, and we'll be asking the parent when we issue those cards, what type of card do you want for your child? I don't know if that answers your question.
So basically, somebody that's a non-resident can come in and get an adult non-resident card, what will be called, but they can say, are my minors going to have access or not? And when you do that, it'll be the minor policy.
Right, exactly.
But they're paying for an adult non-resident. So if they get one card for their household, or do they get,
Each person in the household will get a card.
but is this one fee per
Yes.
household?
Yes,
There might be 5 cards.
yes.
Maybe we need to add that.
It says per household.
It says per
Oh,
house.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, the idea here is that we're leveling the playing field by the fee, right? We're basically saying the entire world becomes our taxing district by giving them a fee which is equitable to our actual taxpayers. So that's why there isn't any kind of delineation like, okay, you pay this fee, but we still don't give you everything we give our taxpayers. So the adult non-resident that comes in that pays the fee, automatically from that moment forward gets treated like one of our taxpayers, in the sense that for their minors, they would pick one of the two cards. So I didn't see a need to add more layers that were specific to the non-resident, because once they pay the fee, we're going to treat them like the residents, and then they have to pick from one of the two minor picks. I will say though, that I think, if there was any debate that we would want to have on here, my thought was that the board would want to look at the interlibrary loan services for the minor card general access. That would be a talking point. And then the minor card limited access e-resources. But by having it in the policy doesn't actually define what that means. So if, for example, you know, we spent some of our $50,000 on a nice, like, 0 to 8-year-old like database, which is, audio books, they're all, that's an e-resource. E-resources doesn't mean they get access to every single e-resource. It just means that we're gonna give them access to e-resources. And as we go through this and we look at Overdrive and we look at our collection of Overdrive and we figure out a way to tag certain things, right? Their card will only get them into what we have control over. This was the big problem with the previous minor card policy, is we immediately ruled out e-resources because we were part of CIN. Now we have the flexibility to say, yes, we're gonna give minor cards limited access e-resources. We're just not defining what those e-resources are here. Right, and so, but I do think that the board could definitely discuss what interlibrary loan services means for the minor card general access. In my mind, the parent is deciding that they think their child 0 to 17 is mature enough to get general access to the collection, which means the only issue in my mind with interlibrary loan services at that point is if they're going to interlibrary loan something that we might have designated into the mature content collection, which we had talked about previously, and I think the council had mentioned, there's potential to whitelist items and to have a little bit of a slower process as the interlibrary loan comes in to make sure we satisfy, our comfort level of our handing items at the counter to an ILL. So to me, that was the biggest issue here. I don't know what all the other red marks could be, but the interlibrary loan services for minor card general access could be a talking point, but it doesn't really say anything other than we're going to offer. It doesn't, we're not committing to absolute blanket guarantee that every ILL request you make, we're gonna get. Because even with ILL now, we don't necessarily fill everything. So it doesn't really say all that much. It's other than that, we will provide that service. The replacement card costs at $1, which we will have all the card, like we will buy cards in bulk, we'll have them in the desk, and if someone lost their card, we'll be giving them a new card. So whether it costs us money, I mean,
They have to come into the.
yeah, they're coming in, they lost their card, they'd like to get another one, right? And then we're just giving them a $1 fee for that inconvenience, I guess, but I will say, maybe it's a little bit confusing with line 9, library cards are to be renewed every 2 years, but in line 33, the $50 is an annual fee. So people might get confused about that. I mean, depending how you read it, I read it separately. Yes, renewal doesn't necessarily mean fee payment. So whether or not annually they have to pay that price, because the tax-based price, but that doesn't necessarily mean that card needs to be renewed. So if you take them together, you say, well, that doesn't make sense because the renewal moment is the same as the fee payment moment. But that's not even implied here necessarily. So depends how you read it, but that could be tweaked for sure.
Okay. Okay, so or my discussion part, if we approve this, which I still think it has a lot of wordsmithing changes needed, because we're good at that here. Would this, not today, at a future meeting, I assume this is going to replace the card holders from minor policy, because it's kind of ridiculous to me to have two policies essentially saying similar things, and they may not be 100% alike.
If this is approved, then the minor card policy would be superseded. If this isn't really approved, I'm bringing the minor card policy to the next meeting anyway, because it falls under the request for CIN redactions or removal. So no matter what, I have to, The minor card policy is obsolete as of October first, because it refers to CIN, so no matter what, it has to be changed.
Trustee,
So I understand that it has to be changed because of the CIN implications, but I don't know if this is how it works, but I can assume as a parent that I come into a library and I say, hey, I want to get a card. Can I look at your different card options? Do people look at the policy to see what, do you know what I mean? Do you hand out that policy for a parent to see and decide what card they're gonna get for their child?
I would say yes.
So I feel like, you know, that is important too, because somebody might want to see the more detail than just what this is. Okay, well, can you show me the minor, general access information? And can you show me, you know, the limited access so they can understand the differences, right? So they can make a decision about what they want to get.
But do you think there is a difference? Like, no, I'm not between the cards, but between the two policies. Because to me, the whole point in this case was that there wasn't anything really missing.
Okay, so you feel like this is enough information for them to see what they want to get?
Yeah, I mean, if you just compare the two, the minor limited access doesn't get ILL services and doesn't get the general collection.
I just am taking you guys do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what people ask and what they're looking for. And so we can provide the information they need to make their decision. If you think this is substantial enough, I'm fine with that. I just.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's enough for the front desk staff to
Okay.
be able to navigate that interaction.
Okay.
further discussion? Trustee Fox.
Do we need to say how they're gonna pay? Are they gonna get billed every year? Is it gonna be on the anniversary or how? Is that
It's done by anniversary now.
Well,
or for the annual fee per household, is that something the policy should say? How we're gonna bill them, or are we gonna expect them to come in and pay it?
Go ahead.
We would expire their card 1 year from the date that they paid. And then when they came in close to the expiration date, we would either ask them to renew or they would just opt not to. But it wouldn't be a bill, it would just be your cutoff on the date that you paid it.
That's, so it isn't costing us
No,
to do something, okay?
which again, I think really brings me back to the only thing on this that's really, that I would say maybe we could have done differently is that the adult non-resident card doesn't technically renew every 2 years. It's kind of renewing in some senses every year,
Yeah.
right? So that could be a change. I mean, I read it in the word annual, but it gets confusing, I guess, if the line 9 is saying library cards that to be renewed every 2 years. We could just simply say, we could add to 9 resident library cards are renewed every 2 years.
Yeah.
That's one of my red books.
Yeah, that's his remark.
Yeah, there you go.
Already there.
Done, 2 minutes.
All right, so we're not gonna edit this tonight, is that correct? We're gonna try and say we're gonna approve this, because there's still a motion on the floor. We want to approve this with the, only edit to it or add on was the dollar amount, which was $50. Is that still where we are?
Can we add the word resident? Because that would make my staff. But how
I
about clarity?
can, because it's in red already, I can do that.
So number line 9, resident library cards are to be renewed every 2 years.
Yeah. Mine says
Yeah.
must, but we'll wait until we do the editing another day. It's not R2, it just must be renewed every 2 years. Okay, all right, well, anybody else have further discussion on it? Okay, in that case, it's been moved to approve the circulation policy with the edits as noted, meaning for line number 9, resident, and down to bottom on, where's the amount?
33.
And item 33, $50. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. So you need to say aye. The ayes have it. The circulation policy is hereby approved. And I'll be putting that back on the agenda for editing another day. And I'm also gonna need to find out what we're gonna do with this minor car policy. Again, they're duplicative, so.
That's an agenda item to do post.
Yeah, oh yeah, yes, an agenda, yeah. I think I put it in my, okay. All right, next item on the agenda today. Let's see here. Director evaluation. Oh, I have notes on that one. I'll read it as quickly as I can because I don't think it's gonna take forever. As we're aware, one of the statutory duties of the Board of Trustees is to evaluate the library director. And that's in accordance with Idaho Statute 33-2720C. That's very specific. Some may recall a committee was appointed on August 17, 2023 to create a policy for evaluating the director, as there was no policy, no CLN policy. The chair, Michelle Otteson at the time, appointed trustee Plus and myself to this committee. Considerable progress was being made around that time, what was overcome by other priorities and events, including the change of the directors. Here are my current thoughts regarding this matter. I'm inclined right now, I'm not going to make a decision. I'm inclined to dissolve the dated Tim and Tom Policy Committee. That was a policy that we were tasked with. I'd like to ask the board to request that the director provide the chair, me, with a list of accomplishments prior to our October regular meeting, in order that we may use this and take it into consideration when preparing the evaluation. In keeping with our bylaws, Article 5, committees, that's what it's called, I'd like to appoint a new two-person committee assigned to create an appropriate evaluation form only. I don't see that a policy is essential this time, and there are several reasons why. The director's contract in paragraph 8A says other terms and conditions of employment, and it reads, the library director is not subject to the 90-day introductory period applicable to new employees of the library. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the Board of Trustees will evaluate the performance of the library director from time to time in accordance with the library's policies and procedures. So what are those policies and procedures? Well, I happen to have that here, very short. It's out of the personnel policy manual, and it says employees will be evaluated regularly to assess job performance. Starting July 15th, I don't know what that has to do with there. Employee evaluation, oh, okay, effective back in July of 2015. Employee evaluations will be conducted at least once as an individual performance requires within an 18-month period. An initial written appraisal will be given at the end of the probationary period. Again, that doesn't apply quite. Employee evaluations are not subject to so forth. So it's basically just saying we're going to conduct what do you call it? Personnel evals. So let me see what I have left here. So we can make a new committee to present a draft form at a future board meeting for review, editing, and approval. And this will be followed by an executive session to actually populate the form. And given this plan, I would like to assign trustee Otteson and myself to the committee. So going back to the whole thing, I think we say is we don't need to make a policy. There is a policy, and the contract says we're supposed to evaluate the director in accordance with the policy. So there we go. I don't think we need to make a policy. I do think we need to make a form. I do think we need to dissolve technically the old committee, which is not meeting anymore, and make a new committee to agree, here's the form we're going to use to evaluate the director. And then at some point, the director can give us some of his input if he wishes. It's not essential. We can ask the board to say yes. And then when we actually come up with a form that we agree to, then we sit in an executive session and actually evaluate the director. So a lot said. The only thing I need, I guess, if people are okay with that general plan, is to say, yes, we would like to ask the director to provide me with a list of accomplishments since he arrived here. And then for the board to say, yes, we agree, we can, well, I don't have to get the board's agreement to dissolve or to create a committee, but that's the chair's prerogative according to the bylaws. Trustee Plus.
So part of what the committee and the policy was going to do is explain how the board was going to do the review. So it isn't just a form. I think you need a simple policy that says the procedure of what the board does. And some of the things I was hearing just really grated on me, and I don't want it to go that way, but I don't want us to meet and have to, 5 of us, write a generic paragraph that no one, wordsmith it all out, that no one can read it and figure out who wrote it. I think that would be unbearable to be sitting in a meeting trying to have all five of us wordsmith a paragraph. So I don't want it to go that way. I just want simply a policy or procedure where each of us can write our inputs on the different topics and they get concatenated together. And I really don't care that it can be seen who wrote it. Just put your inputs in and let's make it simple. Concatenate them together and we're done. But if you do this form without a policy, I'm afraid it's going to be turned into this thing where we have to wordsmith so that we all agree on every single word. All five of us agree. I don't know if a majority or how we decide, but I think it's going to be grueling doing it that way.
So I'll entertain a motion to extend the meeting.
I want it to be simple.
I'll entertain a motion to extend the meeting. We've run past our time.
I move that we extend another 10 minutes.
It's been moved to extend the meeting another 10 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, extend meeting is extended. Okay, well, my opinion is the board speaks as a whole, regarding anything. It's the board's decision on certain, and the board we cannot, in my opinion, say, Mr. Director or Ms. Director, Mr. Plus thinks this of you and Trustee Bellman thinks this, and here's what I think, and take it or leave it. No, the board speaks as a unit as a whole. We're not going to solve that right now. I think we need to have a form. There is no other discussion for other persons in the rest. That short description in the personnel manual is all there is for anybody else in this organization. So I don't know. By the time it takes us to make a policy and then make a form and get it all approved by everybody and then do the performance evaluation, I think you're going to be the director's going to be at the 2-year mark. I think we can make a policy. I mean, we can make a form up. I did give from the director multiple evaluation forms that are used internally already. There are different ones used for managers, for circulations, for persons. I have examples. I have an example of the one that was used for a prior director. It's redacted. It doesn't have the date in there, but I have the form. And I think we should not unduly delay this. We can always make a policy later. That's my opinion. So that's where I think we need to go. And I think right now I'm going to say I am dissolving Tim and Tom committee. It's hereby dissolved. That was back a year ago or more. So just make sure that's clear, Trustee Plus.
So I don't know what this form will be, but it would have to be approved. And the committee could bring it in and have to be approved.
Yes.
But there has to be some kind of instructions. And I'm not looking to say Trustee Plus says this and have each thing, just have our comments there and they can be jumbled together, but make it simple for the board instead of wordsmithing and spending a bunch of executive meeting time trying to make a generic paragraph that all five of us agree on. And the other is, have we asked the library director if he has previous examples of what to work for him in his career?
He wishes to say otherwise.
Well, usually I don't get involved in my own evaluation other than providing, like has been asked for, accomplishments and stuff. But the ones I have, I think most of my experience favors the idea that individual board members would have their statements in there, but I wouldn't know whose they are. The way it's written sounds to me like it wasn't wordsmith because it would be segmented out, although it could have been. But yeah, the idea is that typically, it's words on a page, and I don't know the origin of them by the board member, but the ones that I've had, they didn't strike me as a single voice, unanimous wordsmithing.
Okay.
So I mean, that's just my experience.
Okay, and I've done, I guess probably hundreds of evals over the years, but I never did one as a team evaluating one person. So it's the area I'm not experienced in. I don't think many people do that. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck at this point. So you're disagreeing with making a form without a policy, is that correct?
I'm disagreeing with making a form that doesn't have a procedure associated with it for the board, not the procedure for the library, but there should be some kind of procedure of how we fill it out. And I guess it could be put on the form, I don't know. But I think there needs to be something that we agree on the procedure instead of just a form.
Okay, well, since I'll be on the committee, I can make the form with a few instructions on it, if that would be satisfactory. And I am going to go to multiple places. I was going to go to contact, and we'll pay for it if we have to, June Garcia, who's supposed to be an HR type person in the library world. I have the Idaho Commission for Libraries information in the trustee manual. There may be something on the ALA's website. I have multiple examples of all kinds of evals that done in multiple places. And I have the ones for the library, and I have the previous library, one of the previous library director's forms that was used. So, all right, well then, is it agreeable that would the board agree that we can ask a requirement that the director provide me with a list of accomplishments, so we have some bullets or meat to put in there, even if it may bring things to our attention we didn't know about? Is that okay?
So I think you're getting the cart before the horse. You better get your form figured out. What is it? Because maybe I was recommending that we have like 5 areas. And
Now you're creating a form for me here.
no, I'm just saying you may want to give him the form that you'd have and have him fill it out for himself.
No, the burden doesn't only go on to the employee. The employee can provide, here's what I did, and you do it as you wish in the whole eval world, generally speaking. So, would you be okay if the library director provided us with a list of his accomplishments and we can twist it and use it whatever way we wish? Doesn't make any difference which category it's gonna land in, does it?
I just think you better have your form figured out before we do. I guess he can do that, but I think before we start set out on it, he should
Okay.
see the form.
If I may.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough of the evaluation forms that when I go, even if I didn't see it ahead of time, the list that I would generate would speak to most of these categories that I've seen on the form. So like if I'm talk about accomplishments with finance or accomplishments with public, outfacing service. Even if I didn't have the form this year, right, I'll still be able to provide you with data that will help subsequent years. I would just be filling it in on the form kind of thing. So
Okay,
either way's fine with me.
very good. So, the library director is okay with providing us a list. Okay, and give it to me and I'll use it when we have a group at some point for executive session. Okay, and then, I guess I don't have to have a motion on this one here. So I am going to create a 2-person, I am hereby doing it. Trustee Addison and myself are the committee, the 2-person committee that will provide a draft form to the board to be used for the evaluation. Any other discussion on this particular agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is provide a response to public comment. Is there any response to public comment this evening? Okay, I see no. Discussion of future agenda requests. Okay, I have one here, and I'll keep some people happy. To do a budget adjustment to account for or to capture the utility judgment that we agreed to at one point, and we can adjust the budget for that. Is that? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, very good. Okay. And I would also like to say that technically, because we didn't schedule it, not scheduling more a special meeting regarding the dissolution of the CIN. We discussed that last time. We didn't come up with a date. I never set a meeting. Consider that a done deal. And we're not having that. Okay. Any other agenda requests for future meetings? Sure, I'll come up with a few between now and October. And so will the director. Right. Well, I would. Okay, we have set special regular. Okay, and the next meeting is October 16th, 2025 at the Hayden Library, 2 o'clock. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
It's been moved to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned.